waiting for you. I'll say it for you. He's waiting on you. His grace is for you.
Alright, so what's up, everybody? It's your boy Rick Ross, the Hitmaker, man. And today, well, we on the A Piece of God podcast, right? And today I got the honor to interview my brother King Legend. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
How you doing, my brother?
We good, bro.
All right, so King Legend is exactly what the name say. He's definitely a legend where we're from. A lot of photography, a lot of podcast stuff going on, a few awards going on. Got a book that kind of went crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, introduce yourself, my guy.
I'm a child of God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really just wake up in the morning, I go to work, and I go to sleep at night. Nothing too crazy. You know?
Mm-hmm. That's about it. Until you go to his Instagram and you see the long list of celebrities that he's done and recorded. Interview, I should say. And all right, so let's just start from the beginning. Where or were you originally born?
Hampton, Virginia, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my roots. Been there my whole life. Honestly, I never even traveled until I was like probably 17, 18 years old, man.
Oh, for real?
Like, I went nowhere.
All right, so elementary, middle school, and high school, what schools you went to?
Wow. Elementary, let's start off with like preschool. I went to Mary Peak, and then I went to Captain John Smith, and then I transferred.
Captain John Smith, what was that?
Yeah, that's my elementary school. Got my first fight and everything over there.
Damn, for real?
Yeah.
Did you win?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it was a fight. It was only one punch.
Okay.
I threw it.
Okay, so you won?
And then after that, you know what I'm saying? Oh, rest in peace. The person I got in a fight with, he no longer with us.
Dang, rest in peace.
Man, yeah, crazy. You know, and then moving forward, I went to Captain John Smith, where I went to elementary school. Middle school, I went to Jones Magnet Middle School. I remember when I went there because that was supposed to be like the smart school. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to get approved.
Word?
Yeah, man. I remember my props praying over it, bro. Like, because all my brothers, all my cousins, everybody went to Spratly. So, like, Spratly had a rep, you know what I'm saying? It was real out there at Spratly. Middle school, people taking knives and everything to school. That's middle school.
So it was already going on there. It ain't even nothing new today.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my dad wanted me to be kind of away from all of that. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, my family, it's different when every one of your family around the same age. Mm-hmm. Where you got, like, cousins and everybody the same age. So, like, going to school is like a gang. You know what I'm saying? You got
especially
like
with everybody that you grew up with in the same school.
So my dad, he really didn't want me around all of that for real. So, you know what I'm saying? He really wanted me to get into that magnet program at Jones. That's where I ended up going. I guess God answered the prayers, you know what I'm saying? For real.
That's lit though.
Yeah. And then my mama, she worked there, which was crazy.
Oh, she worked at the magnet school?
Yeah, but she was a cafeteria lady. She used to serve people food.
My mom used to work at the cafeteria too, bro. That's
For
crazy,
real. Yeah. It was wild though, because I remember when I got in a fight, I don't know, man. I had a lot of issues going on when I was growing up, but I remember I got in a fight one day at lunch, and I was in the principal office. I never talked to the principal of school, never even knew him. Like, I wouldn't even walk by him in the hallway and say what's up to him. First time in his office, he's like, all right, we're going to call your mom. I said, you ain't got to call her. He like, what you mean? I said, she right down the hallway. He said, his whole demeanor changed. He was ready to go in. I said, my mama work here. He said, your mom, she works here? I was like, yeah. He said, where is she? I said, she right down the hallway, man. She work in the cafeteria.
What did you and the dude get in the fight for?
I got kicked out of class, and you see what had happened was a friend of mine got kicked out of class first, and then I got kicked out of class, and then there was this guy. He was he was just like, I don't know, it was something off about him. But when I got kicked out of class, he's like, yeah, now you can go outside with your boyfriend, and I was like, I felt mad disrespected. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, bro, you about to call me crazy like that? That's wild. So we ended up getting in a fight in the bathroom. That's what happened. You know how it is, middle school, you get in a fight in the bathroom. And what's crazy is when I got in a fight with him, I initially didn't go in the bathroom to fight him. What had happened was when I ended up in the bathroom, he had beef with somebody else. And it just so happened that he had already made me upset earlier that day. And so it was just like, time is now.
Perfect place, perfect time.
Yeah. And so the dude ended up jacking him up on the wall. I didn't even know this guy. And we ended up becoming friends off of that.
For real?
Yeah. I was like, yo, what's good, bro? Like, he jacked him up on the wall. I didn't even know who it was. And so that's how me and him became friends. And then we ended up not being friends later on down the line.
How y'all get caught though? Like they heard it? They heard y'all rumbling in the bathroom?
You know how it is. Middle school, it's a fight going on. Everybody in the hallway knows what's going on. So you only get like a good 2 minutes in a school fight.
Right. 2 minutes is too long for me in any fight. I used to be tired of the mud fighting, man.
Yeah.
All right, so what high school did you attend?
Phoebus. PHS, man. Phoebus High School. All my family went to Phoebus. Every single one of them. My brother played on the basketball team.
It was nice?
I don't know. They always got in trouble. But I'm for real. Like,
so your brother was like more like the gangster type brothers?
Man, we all different, bro. Like, I got 4 brothers, no sisters. And we just different, man. Like, I got my brother that was in the streets, you know, always was trying to go the hard way. He was a big Young Jeezy fan. You know what I'm saying? Young Jeezy messed this dude head up. I'm just saying, like, anything Young Jeezy, he was about that, you know, thug motivation, anything like that.
Dang.
That was his inspiration.
That's crazy.
For real.
Probably the soundtrack to his life at the time.
Literally, you know, even got locked up a few times, did a couple bids, came home. I pray for him, though, man, because it's sad to see his whole life get, you know, put in the system that way. And it's like he's trying so hard right now to stay on the right path. But, like, you know, it's hard, you know, when you really mess up like that a couple times, you know, especially when you're used to getting money in the street. And I think that's what's really hard, like, for a lot of people to change and adapt, you know.
So probably so used to getting it a certain type of way.
Yeah, like, you used to making, let's just say, throw a number, 10 bands a week to someone saying you're going to have to work minimum wage because of your record. That's a hard adjustment. You know what I'm saying? You like, yo, I ain't never had to struggle to stay somewhere. And then most people in the street, they staying at hotels, like buying hotels for the whole month.
Yeah.
You know?
Rent cars.
Yeah, living that life. And it's like, you go from there trying to pay a hotel rent, because if you stay at a hotel a whole month, you paying rent for real and getting tax heavy.
So did you ever consider yourself dabbling into like the street life, or you always stayed away from it? I know it was outside every day, but as far as like actually participating in the criminal activity.
I was curious for a little bit, I ain't gonna lie, but that's just because of being rebellious at a young age. Like, you know, your parents want to teach you right. They want to, at least my parents anyway, they wanted me to be, you know, in the Bible and church. My dad always preaching the word at me every day.
For real?
Yeah, they was preaching the word at me every day. And just trying to do your own thing. Find who you is without somebody trying to tell you who you should be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then so you end up hanging out with the wrong crowd. You end up hanging out with everybody they tell you not to hang out with. You be like, you supposed to be going to school, getting good grades and coming home. You go to school hanging out with people.
Tripping.
You know what I'm saying? And then coming home late when you ain't supposed to, trying to lie about why you came home late.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I lived for a good while, my childhood. You know what I'm saying? So it was, I would say, dipping and diving a little bit because I was places where I shouldn't have been.
All right, so because I want to get to the Christianity later, but you already was born into a praying family. So looking back, knowing that your dad was trying to give you the truth at such an early age, and being that you have a child now, right? So when she get maybe about 7 or 8, I don't know when you're gonna start, like, you know, talking to her about it and everything, but
she already started.
What methods do you think your dad could have used back then that would have made it connect with you more?
He could have told me why. Like a lot of times parents, they want the best for their kids, but when you leave out the why, it just comes off like you trying to force it on me. You get what I'm saying?
More so like you need to read this, you need to do
Yeah,
this. And
yeah.
not
Every
actually
time I
why
do
to
something, it was like, you need to be in the Bible, you need to do this, you don't need to do that. Also, we had one-way communication in my household, meaning I couldn't talk back to my parents growing up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I want kids to talk back to parents. It was just when it's a one-way street, you don't have no conversations. You get what I'm saying? You don't have no dialogue. I don't get to tell you how I feel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so that was something that if I could change anything, that's what it would have been. Like, I didn't have the opportunity to tell my dad how this made me feel. It didn't matter. It was his way or the highway because he was the head of the household. He was in charge.
So is that something you plan on doing different with your child? But that's definitely something I do with my children.
Yeah, I mean, like, I have a daughter. This is crazy because I've been around my brothers. Only female in my life was my mama. You know what I'm saying? So having a daughter, I don't have no example of what it's like to be in a family with a female growing up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of, I don't want to say winging it, but I'm really just, learning on the go when it comes to it. But as far as what I would teach her coming up, I would allow her to explain to me how she feel. I wouldn't have it like a one-way street where I'm going to just tell you everything. I want to listen. Mm-hmm. And that's something that, and I love my parents to death, don't get me wrong, but my mom was a listener. My dad was not. But my dad ran the house. So it didn't matter if my mama listened. Right. My mama was a shoulder to cry on if I had to. But my pops was, he was hardcore growing up. And he's so different now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you think it was a learning curve at some point in his
life? We all out the house.
Oh, okay.
I try to, like, as an adult, look back. I don't blame him or hold no grudges towards him. You know what I'm saying? Like, as an adult, I'm able to look at it from a perspective like, you got 5 boys. They all around the same age, maybe 3-4 years apart, each of them. You working all day long, coming home from work with 5 boys. Let's just start there. And then it's like all of them in the same house. You don't want nobody to talk to you. You had a long day of work.
Right.
Just go in the room, be invisible. Don't bother me. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of how it was for us growing up.
Boys is rough too, so I can only imagine what 5 of y'all was doing in the crib.
Yeah, so I feel like he did the best he knew how. And I say that with all respect. He didn't have time to figure out, like, how you feeling when he got 4 other ones going crazy? You know what I'm saying?
Nah, yeah, I definitely understand that, jump. But that's one of the things I try to do as a parent because, a lot of debates be like on Facebook about what parents shouldn't be. Parents should be parents and shouldn't be their kids' friend. But my thing is, growing up, 34 years, I never really found like true friends. So, and none of us really truly have. We might got 1 or 2, but real friends that's gonna, keep it real with you, be honest with you and everything. I feel like to me, I have to be, not have to be, but I would rather be the friend that my kids can come to in the time of need. So it's like one of the grounds I try to set in my crib is like, okay, yes, my house is my rules. Right. But if you do feel different about something, you can respectfully talk to me about it. You know what I'm saying? If you can convince me or whatever to look at it how you look at it, then maybe we could change the rules. But I'm still your dad. But at the end of the day, I never want them to not be able to come and talk to me about whatever it is because they're going to run to that roadblock in life where they need someone to talk to.
Facts. It's kind of hard to talk about my pops because we're at a different space now. Like, back then, man, I hated just, I don't want to say I hated living. I hated my lifestyle. You get what I'm saying?
What you mean? Like,
I wasn't suicidal, like I want to kill myself, but I used to ask myself questions like, why I had to be born in this family? I used to look at other families and be like, they regular, they normal, they get to go outside, have a good time, they get to go hang out and do things as a family. I never had that growing up. We lived in the same household, but we never did nothing as a family. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I would look at things like on the outside looking in. I'm looking at everybody else's family like y'all normal. I'm looking at my family like we dysfunctional, and I'm just trying to find my peace in all of this. You know, it was a lot of stuff going on. You know, I don't even think I ever publicly talked about it. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's what we're here for, man. I'm the one.
I'm just saying,
I
like,
would get it all out for sure.
I know,
but that's an interesting perspective, though, for real.
Yeah, because it's like I feel like my dad preached hell so much to us. I got the opposite of everything. So you got people that always preaching Jesus is love and all this stuff. All I got is hell. Like everything we talked about was hell. But I think it was important though, because you see, if you was listening, you understood even while you were being rebellious. I had a conscience. Mm-hmm. That's what it did to me. It gave me a conscience. There's a lot of people that do things in this world, and when they're doing evil, they don't have a conscience with it, so it don't convict them. You know, when they do something like bully somebody or just, you know, do things that they shouldn't do, there's no conviction at their heart. And I believe conviction comes with having a fear of God. You know?
Yeah, for sure. So maybe his approach was, maybe it was just giving you the fear of the Lord, but not in the healthy way that it's supposed to be, is what it sounded like to me.
Right, I can agree with that. I mean, we definitely had a fear of God. I mean, my dad would blast preaching in the house. Like, we had surround sound speakers, but they weren't for movies. Like, for real. Like, we had speakers in every corner of the house. And he would just play like preaching, like Jesse Duplantis or somebody like that, just playing and blasting them through the house. So you had to hear, like, you ain't have to read your Bible in my house because we had it voice activated. Like at the crib, it was there.
That's kind of how it be around here, though. But it'd be for me. It don't be for anybody else. Listen, I like to hear the word every day. That don't make me feel good.
But it's a blessing though, because also, growing up like that, man, and this is what you can probably relate to now. Once you are exposed to this lifestyle and you truly believe it and you truly live it, bro, you start seeing things happening in the spiritual. Mm-hmm. And so growing up, we witnessed a lot of things in the spiritual, even when we didn't even have that relationship like that with God. It was because of my parents and what they believed. And, you know, we would see things in a room like, you know, we had real, like, encounters where I would check with my brother and make sure he saw the same thing I saw. So I wasn't tripping. Real talk, bro. Like,
for real.
Man, I remember one night, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, bro. And as a kid, a lot of you not, y'all, as a kid, growing up, when I would say from the ages of 9 to like 13, I would hear footsteps every night in the house. And I would hear these footsteps so much. Like, I'm talking audible footsteps, like, and it was on purpose, like, doop, 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 doop. I would hear it all night long for like probably 3-4 years. And my brother, if I could call him and he would testify, I would wake him up out his sleep because I knew it won't nobody in the house. Like, I would wake him up out his sleep and be like, bro, do you hear those footsteps? And I would have my brother actually wake up, get out the bed, and walk the house for me just to tell me, like, there's nobody here.
Were you the only one hearing it?
I was the only one hearing the footsteps, yes. So I would hear these footsteps every single night, and it would trip me out because I would hear them loud in the house, and I was the only one that was hearing them. And so one night, it was like, I don't know, we had bunk beds in my room because, you know what I'm saying, it was 4 of us. Well, 5 of us total. So my brother, he used to sleep on the bunk bed next to me. My other brother was right above me. And so one night, it was like I had this crazy, crazy dream. And it was like I was seeing the devil on this stage, and he was laughing. He had this ugly face. I don't know if it was the devil, but it was just like, to me, it was the devil. But he had this ugly laugh, And he was laughing like this with his hands out on the stage. He had on a cape and everything, bro. Like a movie. Like a
Super
movie.
Saiyan.
Yeah. Right? You know, the kids with that, they too wild. So he on stage like, laughing. And I could hear him laughing, though. That's what tripped me out. Like, it's not just I'm seeing him and I'm imagining him laughing. No, I'm in the bed. I woke up and I'm like having a vision where I'm seeing him laughing and I'm hearing it audibly. So I shake my brother, like, wake up, wake up. And he's sleeping heavy for some reason, like he just won't wake up. I keep hearing this laughing, I'm seeing him. And finally my brother wakes up. And my brother's like, what, man? My brother hated when I wake him up because he know I'm tripping about something.
Think you tripping about something.
Yeah, he would assume it at this point. I'm talking footsteps and stuff like that. So he was like, what's up, man? I said, I saw the devil and he was laughing. And my brother was like, man, you tripping. So I just remember trying to go back to sleep. When I tried to go back to sleep, I tried to put the cover over my head. And when I put the cover over my head and I closed my eyes, I saw him again. And so my brother was still up. So I said, listen, if you look through the cover, you will see the devil. But here's the crazy part. My brother looked through the cover and he saw the devil. Yeah.
Dang, so what was y'all conversation like after that? Because after all
we
these
looked
nights
at
of
each
you
other like
waking
we
this
not
man
tripping. We looked at each other like, you not tripping. I'll never forget that for the rest of my life, bro. I'll never forget that because that was the first time where I had somebody else confirm what I was seeing.
Right.
And so he saw it too, so he was freaking out. And so it was just little things like that we would see, and it would just stick with us, bro. And it was one of those things where I would even check and be like, you still remember that, right? Like, and he like, yeah, man, I remember. It was crazy. And that's just one incident out of many, man. I've had situations where I woke up and I see this shadowy figure at the end of my bed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to see things, bro. Like, so I knew the supernatural was real.
So, in hindsight, though, now that you fully, truly know what's going on, it makes me wonder, like, at that time, were you feeling like getting closer to God or something at that time? It was like, I wonder what was making the devil show himself to you so much, or maybe he just knew you would be the one to pick it up.
I think it was fear. Living in a household where my dad was so like into the church and praying all the time. He was in the word. It was like we were just surviving off of his faith.
He was always like that, or did you get to witness him?
No, I've only known him
like
like that.
Okay.
You know, he switched up after high school once he had his encounter. But he grew up in a household like that too, though. His family, they've had experiences with the supernatural where they were seeing beings and stuff like that growing up. So it just kind of stayed with the family.
Did you ever get the opportunity to sit down, like interview style? I know you wouldn't, like, oh, Dad, let me interview you, but I feel like interviews open up more conversation. So my question is, did you ever get to actually talk to him about his entire walk in life? Like how you're walking me through your life right now, have you ever had this in-depth of a conversation with your dad?
My dad is real private. You know what I'm saying? He'll give you the scene, but he ain't gonna give you all the details. Like, he'll give you the part that sound good. He ain't gonna give you the ugly. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that was another thing, you know, I think letting people know your flaws, letting people know, like, yo, I used to drink, I used to get drunk. That actually helps people relate and see Christ in you more.
Right.
You know,
like knowing what you came from.
Because seeing that change is what really shows people that God is real. Because sometimes you'll look at a person and be like, ain't no way this person is switched up.
Word.
But that's how you know God is real. They got something that caused them to change their entire life.
Yeah, that to me is like, because I got caught up in a little debates today on Facebook, and I know I don't got no business doing it, but it's hard trying to defend the gospel off the words in the Bible alone, because everybody can interpret it their own way, or they done seen this information, they done seen this. But he like, one dude was like, you know, you shouldn't be up here like being a false prophet and all this other stuff. Like, where's your proof? And I'm like, yo, it's hard for me to prove to you restoration in my marriage, or it's hard for me to prove to you, you know, being free of like porn addiction. It's hard for me to prove these things to you. You know what I'm saying? All I can do is point you to what helped me. You get what I'm saying?
Right. One of the things I learned is that usually it's not a head issue, it's a heart issue. Mm-hmm. When people doubt the Creator, they really are struggling with accepting whatever situations they went through in their life. Mm-hmm. Usually it's trauma, pain, things along those lines where they actually blame God for either not being there in their head or being the reason it happened. Yeah. And so once I started to realize that you got to relate to people and connect with them on a level where they're actually willing to open up to you to let you know what the root of the problem is, then you can have those conversations and actually show them how God was either there or they misinterpreted what happened to them. Because that happens a lot.
See, God, one of the things I noticed today, and it just hit me for the first time, but I remember it from any debate that I've had since I've been professing my faith or whatever, was most Christians, right? If you're trying to defend the gospel, we only give glory to God for anything that happens, but everyone who's opposed to it, they have like a self-righteous mentality. It's like, well, I got this and I got that and I don't need this. But with me, it's like, yo, I don't want no credit for nothing. Like, everything that's happened to me is you know, of God. Right. So we'll get to that later. All right, so now my question is, I'm gonna give you a scenario. King Legend, 12th grade, middle of the year. What is your thoughts about college and everything? Like, what was your dreams at the time?
12th grade. I was at a place in my life where nobody had gone to college in my life. Nobody honestly had even graduated high school. So for me, graduating high school was kind of a big deal just because I felt like I had to.
Were you good academically too? Or you got by?
I got by.
Okay.
I didn't give it my all. I just did what I could to pass. Because honestly, I had a lot going on, man, at the house. I had a lot of domestic stuff going on at home, especially my 11th and 12th grade year, man. We had a situation that split my whole household in half. At the crib, real awkward situation, bro. I had a situation that took place at home where detectives came, ran up in the house, searched the house, and I mean, this is happening while I'm still in school, going to school. Nobody at school know what's going on. You know, that's why I was like, you never know what people going through, man, for real. Like,
rough, for real.
Life be real. And I'm not even trying to paint no picture like I'm just this person that went through it, had it so bad. No, I grew up in the suburbs, but I still had real life happen. Get what I'm saying?
Yeah, nobody's exempt.
I'm not from the projects. I'm not up here trying to act like I'm from the hood. Yes, I got a lot of people that I know in the hood. I got a lot of family that been in the hood. My parents was in the projects, but that was before I was born. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to try and paint no picture so anyone can get no image of me in no type of way. But I will keep it 100 with you and let you know that real life happens even in the suburbs. You get what I'm saying?
Dang.
And it's like, it all depends on how you carry yourself, man. And, you know, I'll just give y'all a very brief description on what I was going through. I've never shared this before either.
That's two for me.
Real brief, you know, and honestly, I don't talk about this stuff because these people, you know, they still living, obviously, right. In this real life. This is not some fake stuff you just write in a book. You know, this is real.
Right.
Real situations, real family, you know, and I try to also be mindful of how they feel as well.
Right, for sure.
But from my perspective, you know, I got my oldest brother, he's bipolar. When he acted, I mean, the police was called to our house over 200 times in a matter of, 6 or 8 months. And I only remember that because I went to court, and one of the wasn't a prosecutor, the lawyer tried to paint a picture of my dad and how many times he actually called the police on my brothers at the house. And so, without going to the specifics, it was a situation where my brother, he had just came home, he did a bid. And as a felon, you're not supposed to be around no firearms or nothing like that. And so him and my dad got into this argument, this real bad argument, and was a gun involved. And so, long story short, I guess my brother tried to hide the gun because my dad was like, he wanted him out the house. And he was like, you either leave him, I'm calling the police and get you out of here. And my dad knew he had the gun. This is why people hate Christians. And I'm going to say this like this. Integrity. Integrity has no blurred lines. It's straight to the point. Integrity, it doesn't matter if it's your family. It doesn't matter if it's your friend. It doesn't matter if it's a stranger. When it comes to integrity and being honest and telling the truth, sometimes you get put in situations that you don't want to be in. And so as my father being a believer, he knows my brother is not supposed to have a gun. He knows my brother is violating his probation. This is where the lines get crossed, where it's like, are you really about that life? Are you really gonna be Christian and do the Christian thing?
Right.
And be honest.
Right.
If there were some robberies going on in the neighborhood and there's some items showing up at your crib, and these items you are related to a certain robbery, and this is in your house and there's a firearm, that's hard. That's a hard decision as a true believer.
All right.
Now, keeping that in mind, this gun and our argument just set things off where he wanted him out of there. And so my brother, he tried to hide the gun, act like he was going up the street. Now, keep in mind, I'm literally in the room, all this commotion going on. Next thing I know, my pop's going in the backyard, and probably went out there no longer than 2 minutes. Come back in the house while my brother gone. It's like, I found a gun. And this is real personal, y'all. Like, this is mad personal. So he found a gun and called the police. Now the detectives coming over the house, police coming over the house. My brother, he had left. And police over the house. Once they got the gun, the detectives came over the house. They ransacked the whole place because they were looking for stolen items. They said the gun was related to stolen items. And detectives was going to try and break my dad down in court. How did you know where the gun was at? Did he tell you? Did he show you? Like, he was trying to break it down. And my position in the whole matter would have been either incriminating to my brother or not. And I just remember I couldn't get it off my mind, bro. It was the hardest thing I ever probably had to go through because my brother, he was looking at 15-something years if he would have got caught with that.
Dang, that's crazy how they.
Because when you get off, if he didn't finish all his time, his first bid, they put that over your head. So he had like 15 years still over his head from his first charge. So that would have violated his probation, and he would have had to go back to finish his time. So because of that, it put me in a real messed up situation because my statement would have incriminated my brother if I would have kept it 100% honest. But thank God I didn't have to lie, man. God was looking out for me even back then because in court, it was a jury trial. And in court, my PE teacher at the time happened to be on the jury. And so because of conflict of interest, they had to X me out the courtroom. And I wasn't able to like participate in the trial that day.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that's crazy.
because what happened was in the beginning of the trial, the judge, he addresses everyone in the courtroom and he addresses the jury and he pretty much asks them, "Do you know anybody involved with the case?" And my PE teacher stood up and was like, "I know him. He's my student." And so I ended up getting to leave the courtroom like I got a pass, and that was just a huge relief, bro. That was a real big relief on my part, and they end up dropping the charges on my brother, and you know, he didn't.
So
have to
was
go
it?
back.
Cause we don't got to go too in depth in it because it is kind of personal.
Yeah.
But was it the lawyers trying to put y'all against each other in the whole thing?
Yeah,
that's why I don't really rock with it. Like I wish they was there for the right reasons, but it's like that system.
I think it was because of the amount of time my brother was looking at and who called the police. Even the lawyers was looking at it like, this is your son. You gonna send him away for 15 plus years?
How much damage did it do to the relationship between the brother and your dad?
It was always rocky between them.
But
like my brother got sent to juvie growing up. You know what I'm saying? So the relationship ain't never been loving.
Today though, do he own up to any of his mistakes? Like do he look back and see any of this as was his doings?
I think he just accepted the fact that he chose that life. And, and that's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like he always, like I said, Young Jeezy was a virus to this dude, man. Like Young Jeezy was a virus to this dude. The snowman, you know what I'm saying? Like, you never know how much people are influenced by this secular music, bro. And these rappers, you know, I'm not going to say Young Jeezy won't live in that life, but a lot of these rappers aren't even living that life. But
right. Getting people in trouble pretty much.
Facts. But I know for a fact, bro, my brother wanted to look like Jeezy. He wanted to be like Jeezy. You know what I'm saying? And like that lifestyle Jeezy had, he wanted all of that. You know, the street life. That's the only thing that turned him on to the streets was Young Jeezy.
That's crazy.
For real.
So with everything going on at this time, 11th and 12th grade, did it affect your grades and all that stuff? Or were you able to separate the problems and still able to stay focused?
I was focused on everything but school. And I was smart because long as I had a C, I was happy. I mean, going to school was just what we supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? Like growing up, that's it. I'm going to school because I'm supposed to, not because I care about my grades. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to school because this is where I got to go. School was a playground for me because I got to do everything I couldn't do at home.
Right.
I get to turn up with my friends, have fun in class, act stupid, you know what I'm saying? And
school is poisonous too, man.
It is.
Because I often see people blame a lot of things on the parents, but I've always looked at it as it's never just one household raising the kid. It's your household and then it's
school.
Like 50 other households with 50 other different ways of thinking, sending their kids to school, and then you gotta mingle.
Right.
Mixing them all together for real. Because I know a lot of stuff I did as a kid. I was always a good kid, but I was sneaky at the same time. Like I never did like I was the one who walked down the street and I see the gangsters. I'm taking another side road, like, cause I just didn't trust it. You know what I'm saying? But I still was sneaky. I still would get caught. I still was bad around the house and stuff like that. But I always knew like the gangster thing just wasn't for me. Like I tried to sell weed one time, but it just didn't work out for me.
It's weird for me, man, cause like I always had love. It don't matter who, I don't know, maybe that's just a gift of mine. Like, I can talk to anybody.
Right, like that one person that fit in all the circles,
like,
right?
I can talk to anybody. I don't care if you're a gangster. I don't care if you're a nerd and ain't never been in no kind of trouble. Like, I can talk to literally anybody. Like, and I think it was just something about that really made me set out from a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like, some of the people that I know, you be like, how you know this person?
Yeah.
Like, out of all the people, you know who this is? Like, like I always been able to talk to people. And I think because when I look at somebody, I try to see the best in them, regardless of who they are. Even if they try to make it difficult, I still try to see the best in somebody. You know, because I look at a person, when I look at an individual, I don't just see the person in front of me. I see everything this person could have possibly gone through in their life to become this individual they are. You know what I'm saying? So like when I look at someone that's got an anger issue, for an example, I don't look at this person and be like, oh, you a grump. You always mad at the world. I look at this person and be like, what could have this person gone through to be this way?
Right.
You know, because situations impact people like that. We are like where we come from sometimes. And
a lot of times, really. And even if everybody end up being different, we all still influenced by the same things.
Right.
Because I was definitely the person that was cool with everybody. Like, I was cool with the nerds. I was cool with the gangsters. I was cool with everybody. But in my head, I was like the wackest person because growing up, I didn't have like all the cool shoes and like all the fancy clothes. Like I was a wash my t-shirt after I take it off, hang it up, wear it the next day, flip it inside out.
You preaching to the choir right now. We went school shopping 2 weeks before the school year every year. And whatever we had that first 2 weeks of school was supposed to last us the whole year.
Yeah.
And that's how my parents went school shopping. Like, you know what I'm saying? We didn't, hey, you want this shirt? You want those shoes? Like, nah. We went school shopping, I repeat, 2 weeks before school started.
That's how it was, A&N.
And that's including school supplies, book bags.
You remember A&N? Y'all had A&N in Hampton?
I don't remember.
A&N was like our Burlington uptown.
Oh, yeah.
Get the Grant Hills, the Shell Toes.
We went to, what's that store on Jefferson? No, it's not on Jefferson. It's on Mercury. Dang, I ain't been there in some years. It's right where Foot Locker at, KFC. Like, it's right where the alley at, across the street from the alley. Is it Ross? No, it's not Ross. Roses?
Roses.
I think
probably
that's
Roses.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Like a big, we went to Roses. And that's where our school gear came from. And they had to rock that for the whole year. We was lucky if we went to the thrift store and got polo. Because polo, I don't know why, the thrift store always had polo. So you was lucky if you went to the thrift store and got some polo. And then when US PA or whatever that was came out, boy, you ain't want to get caught with that.
Yeah, facts.
You ain't want to get caught with that.
Facts.
I'm trying to tell you. They had like 2 good weeks. And then after that, you got caught with
the big horse.
Yeah. You ain't want to get caught with that. And the Shacks, when they came out, I remember those. My mom used to try to get me some Shacks. Payless used to sell them. They were like $20 shoes. I was like, Mom, I can't wear these Shacks. And then as a kid, I ain't know no better. She's like, these Shaquille O'Neal. You know who that is?
Not flexing the Shacks.
Like, you just made me feel good about it. And then I go to school, everybody laughing. And I'm trying to figure out, I'm like, these Shacks. You know who Shaquille O'Neal is?
That's crazy.
But he had a name in the basketball court, but not in the shoe store.
Why you think it never translated
to the shoe store?
You think his shoes was just
a budget shoe?
Oh, okay.
And I think people have an issue with that. You know, like people in the hood or just younger individual, younger mindset, everything ain't got a price tag when you're young. Your T-shirt got a price tag. Right. It could be a plain T-shirt, but if it costs $5, it's like, yo, what you doing?
Yeah.
Your shirt costs $100 and it's still a white tee. You know what I'm saying? So people look at things like that when you're young. And I think the mentality of a child is crazy because they look at that like, bruh, ain't none of us working. What y'all tripping on? Like, you ain't got no job. Your mama bought your shoes. Your mama bought your jeans and your shirt. How you gonna flex on me because I got on $20 shoes and you got on Jordans, but you ain't buy the Jordans yourself?
Right. Luckily for me, I never really got joked on for the stuff that I wore because I was so cool with everybody.
Yeah.
But I always found myself comparing and what I had to what everybody else had, and it definitely didn't make me feel good.
Yeah. I mean, you had to get creative. You had to figure out a way to, like what Ice Cube would say, the clothes don't make the player make the clothes. You had to figure out a way to make what you had look decent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love Air Force Ones, man. They saved the day for a lot of people who ain't have it like that, because even the people that had money, they would still wear Air Force Ones. So if you can get you a solid pair of Air Force Ones, you was straight. You could make it through the week. I just ain't had no shoes to like switch up in.
All right, so you graduate.
We still love our childhood.
You're the first person in the family, well, that you know of, that you've seen finish high school and everything. So what is your next move like after high school? Like how did your after high school play out for you?
After high school, actually, while I was in high school, I was always working, bro. So like I was working at Pizza Hut and I was working at Liberty Tax out there in that Statue of Liberty uniform. And it was a paycheck, man. Like, I ain't care. I just wanted a job. I just want to make some money because when you were in school, especially when your parents wasn't buying you new things, you know, you can get through elementary and middle school, but when you get to high school, it's different. You gotta get your hustle on, you know. And a lot of people that I knew was selling weed and doing all these other things. I'm like, nah, I can't do that. I just need to make my money some way, though. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, my dad always preached about getting some money the honest way, making a living, taking care of yourself, being independent. So I said, all right, I'm gonna get a job. Now, I used to play football too, but I was like, I can't play football, work, and go to school. So I had to give something up. I gave up football to work and make money. And so that's what I did.
What position you played?
Well, I'm talking rec league. So I played middle linebacker, I played running back, I played tight end, I played just O-line, D-line. And when I first started playing, my first position was a kicker.
Yeah, that's crazy. I used to be a kicker too. I was a kicker, punter, and a quarterback.
Well, listen, y'all, if you want some advice, if you can't do nothing else, learn how to kick because there'll always be a position open for you.
Yeah, because don't nobody ever want to do that at practice. They're like, who want to be a kicker? To see how hard you
your
kick
competition is one person.
Word.
If you want to be on that starting lineup on special teams, just kick.
All right, so I remember you telling me you was into boxing. Like, how did that happen for you?
It was a way for me to release a lot of the anger that I had that I would hold on to. So I'm always been the type of person where I don't show a lot of frustration. I don't show a lot of emotion. But at that time, I didn't know what to do with it. So I did get in a couple of fights, you know what I'm saying? And like every time I would get in a fight, it would be like, he got in a fight? Like, well, what happened? Like, he was cool. It's because when you store anger, you snap. And that's the worst kind of anger you can have because it's like passive aggressive. You don't look like you're aggressive, but you really is. You know what I'm saying? You're just a ticking time bomb.
Right.
And the thing about a bomb is that when it explodes, it hits everybody, even people that didn't deserve it. And so for me, I would store a lot. And I could laugh, I could joke with you, we could have a good time, and I could be mad about something. And then just one day, I snap. And when I do that, then it's like, yo, what happened?
Yeah.
Dude was cool. He was, I'm that guy. Yeah, I'm that guy that would be like, yo, he was chilling. And it was cool.
You good, bro?
What happened? Like,
was it hard starting out when you first started boxing?
Nah, because I actually enjoyed it. And I love being able to see progress so quickly. The thing about boxing is you learn not to get hit real quick.
I bet.
If you fighting some real boxers, man, one of the first things you're gonna pick up on is your defense. You know what I'm saying? And that's something you can apply right away.
Why the gloves gotta be so heavy though, bro? I remember me and my cousin, bro, we was like 8. I was like 8. He was probably like 10. And we outside my uncle's house, like with the gloves. Like he hit me, bro. I'm like, yo.
The gloves were heavy probably because you were like 8. But like when you older, grown man hands, you ain't worried about those gloves. That's probably because you were younger.
And we ain't had no face guard stuff on either. But so I mean, how long did the boxing thing last for you? And did you have any like aspirations to be like a big boxer, or was it literally just like therapy for you?
It was just therapy and training for me. You know what I'm saying? Just to be in shape. I was in the best shape of my life when I was boxing because those workouts was crazy.
For real?
Heck yeah. Those workouts had me running across the bridge, trying to get me to run bleachers at Hampton University.
Rocky.
Yeah, that's what it was. And I think that's probably what inspired me to box.
For real?
Just watching the Rocky movie, I related to Rocky Balboa. I felt like he was always the underdog, and he always fought through stuff to get to where he was at. But the thing that's crazy about the Rocky movies is he had nothing, had it all, and then lost it all. That's the crazy thing about the Rocky movies.
Yeah, I love the fact that you even was able to even bring it up and relate to it as it being like in a way that it influenced your life, because whenever music comes up as far as like an influence, people like to deny it, you know what I'm saying? And then even when it comes to people questioning whether the Bible is all the way true or not, one of the things I say is like, yo, I watch movies all the time and I pull the meaning out of them. So even if you have to look at the Bible as something that's not true, you still can pull great things for your life like out of the Bible.
Right. When it comes to the Bible, for me, I've seen too much to not believe it's true. I told you about the whole
paranormal activity.
Yeah, I told you about all of that growing up. My parents always praying. I've seen my dad use his faith like in prayer. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen him pray that I'm about to blow your mind. When we first moved into my house, it had roaches. I mean, like, they was crawling on the ceiling, bro. And I remember, like, you had to guard your plate because you ain't want to fall in.
Dang, I know what it's like, though, but go ahead.
And my dad prayed the roaches away. He was like...
He prayed the roaches away?
He said... He said, in the name of Jesus.
Oh, snap, yo. Oh,
bro, man. I ain't lying. He said, in the name of Jesus, I rebuke you, roaches. And they was gone, bro. I ain't never seen another roach. Man, you gotta be crying.
For real?
But this is real rap. Like,
that's crazy.
Real. My dad prayed over that house.
Not the roaches you gotta go to.
Nah, but he really showed
his faith was
his
strong.
Authority.
Right. Hey, that's
I'm
funny,
trying to get it together. He really showed his authority that he had.
Yo, it's funny though. That's funny, yo. That's funny.
I think what's funny is like, yo, I'm really not even making it up. Like, he really, that was my first time.
What did you think when you saw him doing it though?
I said, God is real. Bro, listen, man, you gotta understand, like, when we first moved to that house, it had so many roaches, bro. Like, I'm talking, you lay down, a roach coming, like, yo, what's good? Where my food at?
Where my piece?
Yeah.
Where my piece at?
Like, they get mad at us because we ain't leave them no food.
That was big or all sizes?
Man, they were the ugly kind of roaches. I don't even think they make those no more. Amazon roaches. Super roaches.
That's crazy. Yo, I remember roaches like crazy. Yo.
I'm talking like that kind of roach where they leave a smell in the house kind of roach.
Oh, no, I ain't never had them kind of roaches.
like they farting around the house.
That's crazy. I remember roaches though, man. I ain't seen a roach in so long, man.
Man, but that's what I'm trying to tell you, bro. He was like, I'm gonna take authority over these roaches. He started praying in the name of Jesus. I ain't lying. He walked around that house. He's like, in Jesus' name, I command every roach to get out. I was like, man, this guy ain't talking to roaches. I ain't never see a roach ever since.
For real?
Yeah, like he really served them an eviction notice. Like they was gone, bro. And
dang,
that was my first time really seeing God like answer that chain quick. The next day, I ain't seen no roaches. I started to sleep in real peace. You know what I'm saying?
Would you use the roaches before then?
I wouldn't say used to roaches.
But
I
you
would
seen 'em
say
and all that.
I didn't like them.
You said, "Well, used to it."
I
but
didn't
ain't
like them. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, God came through. He killed those roaches.
That's crazy. That's a crazy little funny little story right there,
Man. But when I'm trying to tell you, like, I ain't see no more. Either they were scared in the name of Jesus, or Jesus really said go outside. Like,
That's
I ain't
crazy,
see
yeah.
no more after that. I mean, it was you would have thought Terminex came in there and bombed the house. That's like they were gone, bro. Like he really prayed over that house to get rid of the roaches. And so to me, as a youngin', when I witnessed that's how I was like, okay, prayer really works. You know what I'm saying? Because I really didn't see no more after that.
So what made you stop boxing?
Just life changes. You know what I'm saying? Like getting in relationships and things like that. When you meet somebody, you end up
Cut your time in half.
Passions change. You end up going out more, eating more, things you ain't supposed to be doing. Plus, I was working heavy, bro. I was working 3 jobs. That's what really got me out of boxing. I was working 3 jobs. So I was working Peninsula Vending. This is a vending company. I used to fill up soda machines and all of that. I was working at Pizza Hut. I was a manager over there. And then I also was a car salesman. So I used to sell cars at Nick's on the weekends. So I was really grinding 7 days a week. I was working 7 days a week.
Bro, I always thought about getting 2 jobs, like 2 jobs. I did engineer and work at Taco Bell at the same time, but I think that's different than like having to go clock in. Was that hard?
What?
Like working 3 jobs?
Yeah, I worked 7 days a week. I got no breaks. But I built discipline in that process. You know what I'm saying?
What were you trying to pay for?
A life.
So you had your own crib and everything at this time, or?
Yeah. I got kicked out of the house.
For what? What could you do to get kicked out of the house?
He got legit. All my business out here.
You said it.
I got kicked out of the house, and then he said, "For what?" Let me just talk about how bad the life was. I got kicked out over money, man, and it was, a situation at work. I broke my foot. Workman's comp came in. It was like late, so it was like back pay. So meaning I have a lump sum come in at once. Out of that lump sum, I love my parents. I just wanted to say that. I love y'all. But out of that lump sum, you know what I'm saying? Let's just say it was $8,000. Somebody wanted like $7,000, and I was just like not having it. And it was a situation where my mail got held hostage because the payment was coming in the mail. And the envelope got held hostage, and it was open. And I was like, whoa, like my mail open. Like, what's going on?
Like, yo.
Don't nobody ever open my mail. Like, but this time it's open because they know a check is here. Money. But what had happened was, my mama, I love you. She babysit my daughter Monday through Friday. But she was like, your dad want to talk to you about how we gonna spend this money. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Pause. Like, y'all gonna talk about how what? I'm trying to go to the bank now and cash this check.
All right.
But they holding it against me. And I'm quite sure it's illegal to open my mail. But I'm just saying, they opened it, held it against me, and told me I couldn't go to the bank because they wanted to have a talk with me first. I was like, I ain't waiting to go to no bank. You know what I'm saying? That's a long story short. So, because I wasn't listening, you know what I'm saying, they told me I had to go. So I was like, okay, give me my check though. But it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I ain't been back since.
Learn how to stand on your
I ain't
own.
never been back since. And in fact, I was only homeless for like 2 weeks. I had money. It was a different kind of
Homeless?
getting kicked out. I say homeless because they want my house.
Right.
So it was like, I wasn't on the street, but I could have been. I had options though because I asked my aunt if I could move in. She said, yeah. But then my wife, see, that would have been predictable because they would have known I was going to go over her house. But my wife, She's my girlfriend at the time. And her mom's let me stay in like for the first 2 weeks. Then I got me a house, you know what I'm saying, an apartment. It was a 1-bedroom apartment. I stayed there for 4 years before moving into my house at 26 years old, bought my first house. But
that's lit.
yeah, man, that whole situation was the best thing that ever happened to me though, because let me tell y'all something about being young and you trying to get an apartment and you ain't got no history, no past. They don't want you. Straight up. The landlords do not want you. They look at you young and they know you just going through a phase where this is your first apartment. They think you trying to turn up and party. But there's one place I found, the lady was not interested in me. And I said, listen, I got the first 3 months rent. I'm going to pay you right now. Forget a deposit. I got the first 3 months rent. I told her that. Her whole demeanor changed. She was really about to reject me from the apartment. And I said, I got the first 3 months rent. And she was like, okay, you can move in.
Money talk, man.
Money do talk. I ain't gonna lie, I do. Because I paid that first 3 months rent. So when I first moved in, I literally didn't have to pay the rent for the first 2 months. You know what I'm saying? But I kept that in the bank. So I was still paying rent, even though I was already ahead on my rent in case I ever ran across hard times. I think it's smart.
So you pretty much been kind of good with money, like your whole life? Like as far as like not spending all the bill money before, or did you have to learn over time?
I always been good on spending within my means. I don't overspend. Like if I ain't got it, I ain't gonna buy it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I always been. Even if I'm broke, all my bills are paid. That's how I always been. You know, it's a different kind of broke if all your bills paid.
Yeah, because I'm definitely the opposite, bro. It's like entrepreneurship, the way I did it, my money was almost like drug money. So a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm about to blow this 500 that I made today because I know I could just pick up my phone tomorrow and make another 5. And that junk kind of created like a really, really, really bad like just situation for me in general. I'm trying to bounce back from it right now because it's just the idea that I don't know, maybe I was feeling myself or something, but it's just like, yo, I know I can make 500 tomorrow. I just make this call, boom, 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 shoot this video, da, da, da. It always came back, but in hindsight, you know, had I been smarter with it, I probably would have been like super up because I made like a lot of money like doing studio time.
Facts.
So where does the camera fit in photography fit into this whole lifestyle, this whole equation of King Legend?
That entrepreneur mindset. You know what I'm saying? You working for somebody else. I was working 3 jobs. You just want to do something for yourself. I needed more than one stream of income, and I had 3. I wanted more streams of income. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted something that I could actually call my own. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where the photography came in, man. I remember my friend, his name Quay. I told myself, I'm about to go buy a camera. I told him, I said, yo, I'm about to go buy a camera. And I know if I spend money on this camera, at the minimum, I'm going to make my money back that I spent on it. So by buying the camera and investing in the camera, I made like an agreement with myself that I would not quit unless I made that money back. Get what I'm saying?
Wouldn't quit your job until you was...
No, I'm talking about I wouldn't give up on photography
until I at least
made the money back from spending it on the camera.
Okay.
So it was like the camera was an ultimatum. Like I had to make that money back.
Do you remember your first professional like job? Like as a...
Oh, gig?
Yeah.
Funny. So it was a journey. So I knew... What separated me from, I think, a lot of photographers was I was willing to put in the work and build the brand before worried about the money coming in. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So many people focus on getting the money first. They forget that the brand is what keeps the money coming in. So I focus heavy on the brand so that way when it started to be known, the money would start pouring in from everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so at that time in my life, you know DJ Skills, Me and him was mad tight, bro. That's my brother.
Oh, you and Skills like came up together?
Not come up together. We worked together.
Okay.
So he was also a manager of Pizza Hut.
Okay.
And we was boys.
I can't picture Skills at
I know. But we was boys. Like, that was my homie, man. We done some dumb stuff together and some, you know what I'm saying, some business together as well. That was good. But at the time, he had just started really branching out to the DJ thing, like coming from the house parties to the actual events and stuff like that, the more professional, gigs. And so at that time, when I first got into the photography, I ended up like, yo, bro, I'm just trying to snap real quick, a couple places, and wherever he was at. Like, I owe King Legend Photography, the brand itself, I got to give credit to DJ Skills, because he literally, wherever he was at, I could go. Literally. And at that time, he was pretty much everywhere. I think he was at Mambo's. He was at Fridays on Thursdays. He was at the Alley. He was at, where else? He was at Queensway. You know what I'm saying? So, like, wherever he was DJing, I could go. And he'd let people know right away, like, oh, he with me, let him through. You know what I'm saying? So every time. So that literally opened up venues to me that I wouldn't have had access to. It literally opened up doors for me where I could meet people, get to know them, let them know who I am. And so for a lot of times, people got to know me for the camera, because they saw me, they saw the camera. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Pizza Hut, man, for putting that together, though.
Yeah. I used to cover so many of Skills shifts, though, so he could go DJ.
Word.
So, yeah, we had each other back like that. He'd hit me up out the blue. Hey, look, man, I got to do this DJ gig tonight, man. Can you cover my shift for me? I got you.
That's lit, though, yo. That's crazy, yo.
Yep. So it was cool, man. We really developed a brothership, you know what I'm saying, through Pizza Hut like that. And so, and then he, of course, introduced me to a lot of the other people that he knew. So that's how I ended up meeting a lot of faces as well. Then also, shout out to Graffiti Studios, because when they first opened up in Newport News, that was a place that was the perfect timing, bro. It was just like for local creatives to just come together, like rappers, photographers, artists that paint, everything.
Yeah,
it was like one hub for everybody. So I did a lot of events out there, met a lot of people. So that's how the brand really grew locally. And I had this thing where what I would do is, I'm going to give y'all the blueprint. What I would do, I would go to an event, I would pull people to the side, like, yo, I got a free picture for you. All you got to do is follow me on the gram. And I'll send it to you, like, right there on the spot, or I DM you or something like that, the photo. And that's what I would do. And I did that. I was like, my goal is to hit like 2,000, you know what I'm saying, like followers on Instagram that's local, so that way I can grow the brand. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was literally growing the brand through social media, but yet at the same time in person, face to face. So if I take 2,000 pictures, that's 2,000 followers. Even if they unfollow me later, that's 2,000 people that knew I was a photographer. Get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then they would hit me up like, bro, I remember I met you at this gig. You mind, or such and such got a wedding, or such, and then it worked like that.
Yeah, so all the entrepreneurs that's tuning in right now, what he's saying is definitely for sure, because it's the same thing that worked for me. Like when I did hit the ground running as a because I started as an engineer. Well, I started as a producer. I started engineering later, but it just was, I gave out free beats for like 2 years straight. And then it just so happened that my mixing style with the music was like a different sound out here. Yeah. And by the time you look up, everybody was on my beats, you know what I'm saying? In hindsight, people always say like, I wouldn't do this for free. I wouldn't do it for free. It's like, yo, just put in the work, build the brand, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to charge these prices or whatever, you might not get to build your brand. Some people do, but some people don't. But at least with you, when you build a brand, first you have something to stand on, like whether you kind of making the money or not. So that's definitely like a gem, I feel like. Because some people advise you to just charge your price, man. Charge what you worth. Like, yeah, that's cool. But if nobody got the work to show it, it's like, what are we paying for?
Exactly. And then it's like you also gotta build like your resume, so to speak. Like when you start something, don't nobody know who you is, you're doing it from the ground up. You gotta be able to show them something, show them your work. You know what I'm saying? I can't say, yo, I'm a photographer, I got a camera. You be like, yo, let me see some of your work. And I'll be like, yeah, about that.
But you actually nice with the pictures though. Like
I had to grow, bro. My pictures were ugly.
but your
when I
eye
first started.
crazy though. When I used your camera when we was out there, it's like I don't know if the camera react late to you pressing the button. So I don't know if when you press the button, it captures it when you press it and then process it later, or are you just good at timing your camera?
It's a little bit of both. It's the timing and the shutter speed. So if there's a lot of movement going on, you're going to have a quicker shutter speed so that way it can stay in focus. And so for me, I see the picture in my head before I take it. Get what I'm
you
saying?
always do it with the viewfinder, or do you do it with the screen?
Viewfinder. I don't use that screen.
Bro, you was nice with the pictures though. I realized because as a Sony user,
right.
I'm just used to put it on auto, put it in Photoshop or some app on the phone, make the picture look good, and they come out good because I feel like I'm a capture the moment type of photographer. Like I don't even claim photography. I just take pictures just because the camera's good. But I took pictures on your camera. And then I look at the pictures you took, and I'm like, yo, like, your pictures look way more calculated. It's almost like, yo, how did he know this was going to be that when he took the picture?
I gave you the secret. You got to see the picture before you take it.
That's crazy, though. Like,
it's like a painter, an artist. Like, you got to be able to see this in your mind before you actually draw that on the canvas. Yeah. So when it comes to me taking a picture, I see the picture I want before I even snap.
That's a crazy way of thinking.
So I look at something and be like, oh, that'll be a dope photo. Let me wait for it. And then when it happens, I'm ready. That's
I'm more of because even with those, I don't know, maybe it's just the way I'm wired, but I'm a building block type of person. So it's like, even with these pictures, I don't even know what they're going to be until they finish for real. I ain't going to lie. In the middle of it, I start seeing what I wanted to be. But when it comes to art, I just start making lines, yo. And then I learned that, like, when you understand that everything is art, like a lot of these pictures, I would draw them, then I turn it upside down and then start adding to it, and I turn it back upside down. So I don't even know what they're going to come out as. And it's the same thing with music. So it's like...
But that is crazy that you don't know what they're going to come out as.
Nah, I don't.
They really look like dope.
Like this right here, like... I mean, even this right here, like somehow I learned the way.
You was hungry that day,
bro. I just learned how to draw pictures that's something else upside down. I didn't even understand how it was coming out, but like I used to draw as a kid, and I don't know. I just got the iPad, decided to pick back up, and that's what came out. But yeah, okay. So, cause you got so much to your stories, like I want to get as much as I can. I know if we sat down again, it would be way more in depth. All right, so we're gonna skip a few years, right? All right, and we're going to go to I don't know what year it was, but let's get into the real deal.
The reason we're here.
The real deal. All right, so when you first heard about COVID-19. Did you see yourself as a person who would catch it?
Not really. I didn't know what it was, to be honest with you. I mean, COVID-19, when I caught it early, y'all. Like, it was like a rumor. I mean, I think we were still processing Kobe Bryant dying.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you weren't even like wearing the mask and all that at the time because it was a rumor.
Nobody,
it was that early when you caught it?
Ain't nobody know about no mask back then. It was like a rumor at that time.
So when you first felt the symptoms, so you really didn't even really know.
Nobody knew
what it was.
The doctors didn't know what it was. When I went to the doctor, I mean, at the time I went, they were just doing the vaccine lines, or no, the test lines, not vaccines. Correct myself. The test line to test to see if you had COVID. You remember they were limited when they first came out, and the hospitals were doing like the drive-bys where you had to pull up. I remember getting rejected because I was too young to have it. You know what I'm saying? So they would turn me away from the test. Make a long story short, 'cause I wrote a whole book about it. I didn't explain this story a million times. The book. So it's called Ventilators on Amazon, but I definitely explained the story like a million times. That's why I wrote the book, because everybody was like, yo, you should write a book. So that's what happened. But the long story short is I end up having a fever that wouldn't break. Finally went to the hospital. I went to the hospital. They got my fever down. I went to Riverside Hospital first. They got my fever down, sent me home. They sent me home. My fever went back up. And I was like, oh, man, it went back up. I tried to thug it out a little bit. Went back to the hospital. They got my fever down again, sent me back home. And then I got stubborn on that second time. I was like, I ain't going back to the hospital. Because at that time, because of COVID, if you went to the hospital, I mean, you were lucky if you made it to the lobby within the first 45 minutes. Unless you had a gunshot wound, was bleeding, something like that, you was just stuck until they were ready to see you. And so they had all these different safety measures in place because of COVID. So they were screening people outside the hospital. And so I remember that third time I went, I was out, man. Like, I was in the bathroom and I was laying on the floor next to the toilet. My wife saw me and she said, either you're going to the hospital or I'm gonna call the ambulance. And so I was like, man, I knew she was serious.
Did you had just threw up or you were just like out of it? Like, no,
I was on the floor, bro. I was laying on the floor in the bathroom next to the toilet and I didn't even realize it. So I was that out of it. I was that drained. I was that tired. So my wife, of course, she sees me on the floor in the bathroom. She thought I was on the bed. I'm on the floor in the bathroom. That's when she told me. She like, either you going to the hospital or I'm going to call the ambulance. And the reason she said that is because I had told her I'm not going back. And I had already went to the hospital twice. You get what I'm saying? I was just done with hospitals at that point. I felt like they weren't doing that for me. And so that third time I went, my wife was just like, she was all to pieces because she felt like she'd done everything. One thing I can say, man, whenever I'm sick, my wife goes full doctor mode, like full nurse on me. Like anything I need, she there, bro. And in that situation, she felt like she couldn't do nothing for me. And so the only thing she was worried about was the doctor sending me back home again. And so she kept telling the doctors, like, we've been going to the hospital, you keep going home. Then the doctor came in there, was like, he's not going home. And next thing I know, he was like, you got double ammonia in your lungs, you got an upper respiratory infection, and if we send you home, you might not make it. You know, I was thinking, like, not make it, you know what I'm saying? Like,
not make it.
First of all, I was really like this while he's talking. But he was like, yeah, we sent him home, he might not make it.
Dang,
and that changed everything. I went from just having a fever to dying, you know, that quick. I got promoted to death that quick. And I was feeling fine the weekend before.
What was going on in your mind when he told you that but you might not make it though?
It didn't sit, the reality didn't sit with me. It was just like, because to me, I get over everything. Mm-hmm. You know, us, as I can say, I can't speak for everybody, I'm gonna speak for myself. I felt like there was no sickness I couldn't get over. If I got sick, I say the most of my mind, 4 days maximum. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be better after that fourth day at the most. So at this point, you know, when he said that, I was like, whoa, okay. Then he was like, yeah, there's really not much we can do for him. I recommend we can put him on a ventilator and see if that helps. But as a doctor, I got to let you know the chances of him actually making it is not likely on that ventilator. It's probably like a 10% chance. And so all of that stuff was going in one ear, out the other ear, because I was out of it. I didn't even know what a ventilator was. I had never heard of no one going on it before. I was just so weak. I was just ready to lay down. You know what I'm saying? And so next thing I know, I'm signing papers and telling them do whatever. And they like, okay, we're going to start getting you ready for the ventilator. The worst process ever. I wouldn't recommend nobody go through it. That feeding tube is a beast. That feeding tube is this long tube, and they shove it up your nostril while you're awake, by the way, and they don't numb you or nothing. And they shove it up your nostril, and they keep pushing it up, and they be like, swallow, swallow, swallow. And every time you swallow, it goes up your nose and down your throat. Yeah, it goes down your throat and you feel it. You really feel it. And you feel like you're choking. So the first time I did it, I started like choking because you're not supposed to have nothing going like to your neck, you know what I'm saying, down your throat. So I started choking. I pulled all the way out, and the doctor told me, she said, "All right, if you do this, we're gonna have to keep doing it again. So you might as well just do it and get it over with." And the only confidence I had at that time was, all right, I know I'm not her first patient. She had to have done this before on somebody. I know they're not trying to kill me. They're trying to help me. So even though it's uncomfortable, I'm going to push through it. And so that's what I did. That second time I pushed through, I think went all the way down there. Like, next thing I know.
All the way down like in your stomach?
I don't even know if it was to my stomach or to my chest. But I know it was down there. It had to be to my stomach
it
because
just feels like
it was a feeding tube, so it had to go to my stomach.
Bro, I would have been fighting for that, bro, because I probably would have did it too, but I don't like. Come on now.
I mean, you ain't got no choice.
I know, but
you
just
gonna die, or you gonna put the feeding tube up your nose.
That's one of them things that I can envision and almost feel what it may feel like, even though I never had to do the real thing. But come on, man, ain't something going on. You know what I mean? Like,
and so I just remember, they was like, okay, we're about to put you to sleep in a little bit. The doctor leave you in the room. I'm in a room by myself. So I called my uncle. My uncle's a pastor. And I said, listen, I'm in the hospital right now. They about to put me under. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. I just want you to pray for me real quick. And I want you to just pray for my wife, help her get through it. I know she about to go through it, you know, and I don't know how long I'll be out. So he prayed for me while I was in the hospital. I gave him my wife's number. I told him to call her. He did, you know, pray over her, make sure she was good. And then I remember just them coming in there, they putting this thing over me. And it was like the quietest 30 seconds of my life. It was just dead silence, bro. Just quiet. And then, boom, I was out.
So the thing actually put you to sleep.
Yeah, it's like they give you something, man, and that thing knock you out, bro. And so they knocked me out. And I remember, now I had some vivid dreams when I was on that ventilator. So for the people that's like, how I feel to be out for 12 days, bro, I was awake for 12 days. Like awake for those 12 days. I was like going through the most horrific dreams in my life. Real life, like Friday the 13th type dreams. And in real life situations too. Like I saw my brother in my dream. I watched my brother get killed right in front of me in my dream. I don't know why, but when I was out, I had like 8 different dreams. And one of the dreams, my brother was in some trouble. And people said we look alike. So some dudes he got in trouble with. And tell me, I don't know why I was dreaming this. Most random thing ever. But he had gotten into some trouble in the street and people had mistaken me for him. And so they got me in the dream. And they was like torturing me. And when I tell you it was like that, I don't know if I'm in my body or out of my body experience, it felt that real. Like I could feel what they were doing to me. You know what I'm saying? So I remember them basically torturing me in a dream, and I was beat up. I was like this, I was beat up. And then I saw my brother come, and my brother was like, you got the wrong guy. Like, it's me. I'm the one you want. Like, he gave himself up to these thugs or gangsters, whatever they are. And I watched him blow his head off right in front of me. Now, this is a dream I'm having while I'm on the ventilator, bro. Mm-hmm. Watched him blow his head off in front of me. And I had gotten a shootout. I got shot. I got shot in my right arm in the dream. Now, I'm going to fast forward to when I woke up off the ventilator 12 days later. The nurse came in there, checked my pulse and everything. She's like, lift your right arm up for me. And I said, I can't. She said, why? I said, because I got shot. She said, what arm you get shot in? I said, my right arm, I got shot. That's why I can't lift it up. I really had nerve damage in my right arm, bro. Like, real life nerve damage in my right arm. Couldn't lift it up for like the first 8 months. Yeah. Couldn't lift it up. The highest I could lift my arm up was like right here.
Dang.
For like 8 months. And so, but when I first woke up, my dream was so real, I told the nurse I had got shot. And so that's why I couldn't lift my arm up. Now,
you think your mind believing it is what caused the damage, or did
when
the
I
sickness
first woke
cause
up,
it?
I believed it. When I first woke up, I believed it because I'm in the hospital. Like in the dream, I was in the hospital. That's how it really was. Like I was in the same setting that my dream was in. So I felt like when I woke up, I'm already in the hospital because I got shot. Not because I had COVID and I was out of it. I felt like I was in the hospital because I got shot. So the setting and everything matched on my dream. Well, that was one dream I had. I had another dream where I was at my own funeral and I literally was looking at myself in the casket, bro. Like I'm seeing myself in the casket. I'm looking at family members that's at the funeral. I'm literally seeing it's so real. I can see the emotions on their face, each one individually, like how they were taking it. And then I remember like just went up and I remember seeing my grandmother and we didn't speak to each other. I won't in heaven or none of that. I just say I saw my grandmother. She looked at me. And when she looked at me, she just kind of smiled like, it ain't your time yet. And then I came back. That was like another dream I had. Then I had another dream, and God is funny the way he works because he'll do things to cause you to remember certain things. You know what I'm saying? So like I had one dream where I woke up in the hospital and on my hospital, you know, every hospital room, they got a TV. Mm-hmm. On the TV, it was Jesus getting crucified on the cross. And I literally watched the crucifixion happen while I'm in there in the hospital room. Now, this is completely random. I got to stop saying it's random. But this dream right here, I hadn't thought about Jesus dying on the cross for a long time.
So you hadn't thought about him dying on the cross for a long time?
Yeah, I hadn't thought about him dying on the cross. I was doing me. You know what I'm saying? I was focused on me, my photography career, whatever I had going on. So I hadn't thought about it in a long time. And so in that moment, I saw like him on the cross. And I'm talking like the details was kind of like the Passion of Christ. He was bloody. He had the thorns. He was blood dripping everywhere. And I just heard like, I died for you. Like, I love you. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like, it resonated to me in a way where it was like, that's what he did for me. You know, for the first time it hit me like, he did that for me. Like, I heard he died on the cross my whole life. But seeing it in that way, it was real. And so I remember after seeing that on the TV, and this is why I was talking about that timestamp, like he'll do things to make you remember. After seeing that on the TV, I remember noticing the feeding tube, and I started pulling it. And next thing I know, I seeing blood, like all out. The nurses come running in the room. I had actually woke up on the ventilator. Like, you're not supposed to wake up on a ventilator. When they put you out, you're supposed to be out until they manually wake you up. Like, no, I woke up on the ventilator, had this vision, so to speak. I'm watching him die on the cross. I see this tube. I start pulling the tube out. The nurses come running in the room. And so they increased the doses or whatever the medicine's called, and they put me back out. But I didn't know I was fighting them back in that process. They strapped me down to the bed, like everything with the straps on. They told my wife that I was acting aggressive in the hospital and that I had woke up off the ventilator. So that was the timestamp moment to mark what I had actually saw, because I remember pulling that tube, meaning everything else I saw had happened too. You know what I'm saying? So just many dreams I had, bro. Just wild, bro. I remember seeing like cards on the wall. I still don't know what that means. To this day, I don't know what it means.
Cars?
cards,
like cards,
like witchcraft,
tarot cards.
Yeah, tarot cards. I remember seeing them on the wall, and I remember trying to call my nurse into the room to get it off the wall. Like, it was glued on the wall like these. I mean, I ain't gonna say these glued, but it was on the wall like this. And I just kept seeing it. It was like a demonic looking figure, but it was on the tarot card. And I kept telling the nurse, y'all gotta come in here and take that out of my room. And they didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if this really happened. I'm telling you, this is like something I saw when I was on the ventilator. And so I do remember very clearly, there was a moment when I was on the ventilator and I literally told God, like, I made a vow to him. I said, give me another chance at life and I'm going to serve you and I'm not going to be ashamed of the gospel. And I told him that it was a promise I made to him. And I'm living that promise out right now. Because prior to that, you know, growing up in church and parents, all that stuff, I knew of God, but I would keep it to myself. Mm-hmm. So I didn't share the gospel with people. I kept it to myself. I had friends. I wouldn't tell them about Jesus. You know, it was all to myself. Even if I felt like somebody needed it, I still kept it to myself. I was ashamed in a way because I knew people looked at you weird if you were a Christian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in that moment, I made a promise to God. I was like, I ain't going to be ashamed of the gospel no more. You know, you get me through this situation. You know, I looked at it like a second opportunity to do right because in that moment, I probably would have been going to hell. So I was like, just give me another chance. And there were people praying for me, man, and God answered their prayers. And I'm still here to talk about it.
That is a lot. I can imagine probably getting tired of telling that story over and over, which is why you put it into a book. How did the book do?
It did well. I mean, obviously it had a lot of support, man. My whole life changed after that moment. I really feel like the old me died in that hospital. Like, I have not been the same since. You know, I really haven't. Like, when you have those type of dreams and you see yourself in a casket, like, it does something to you, bro.
Yeah, they got to be crazy. All right, so there's another piece of you as well, in which you became a podcaster. So I want you to tell us what made you do it, the type of interviews you were doing prior to versus the type of interviews you started doing after your experience in the hospital.
So I wasn't doing podcasting before the hospital. I was doing straight photography.
Oh, okay.
And I started doing podcasting because of the nerve damage to my right arm. So, you know me, I was on the camera, bro. That's what I was doing. And to not be able to lift your right arm to take the pictures you want, it was like, it was hard. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, that was everything to me. And it was like, dang, how my arm go out? Like,
yeah,
this is what I need to take my pictures. I mean, I know people that don't even got arms and they still take pictures. And I know that sounds crazy, but you can look it up. But the fact that for me, the type of person I was, it was like if I couldn't give it my 100%, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to handicap my photography. Get what I'm saying? Like, if I'm used to laying on the ground to get that perfect shot, I don't want to be like, I can't do that right now because I got nerve damage. Mm-hmm. Or I was shooting with the Canon, so I'm like, oh, it's too heavy for me to lift up. Or plus I was dealing with a lot of other things health-wise, you know, getting my breathing back, and I was low energy, you know, like trying to stay awake was hard when I first came off the ventilator. Sleep apnea was one of the things I gained from the ventilator situation.
Dang, for real?
Yeah, so going through all of that, my body was literally broken. Like, I had to learn to walk again. I had to learn to talk again because I had to go to speech therapy. When I was first in the hospital, like, I literally started over, bro. Like, started over. When I first woke up, I couldn't stand on my feet. So my first round of physical therapy was standing on my feet. No, my first round was sitting up in my bed. Then it progressed to me standing on my feet. Then it progressed to me being able to stand up and use the walker to sit in a chair. Then it progressed to me taking 3-4 steps. Get what I'm saying? And that was my therapy to get me going. And I went to a rehab facility. I mean, I went through some stuff, bro. Like, you talk about being humble. You, at the time, 24, 20, somewhere like that, 24, I guess. I don't know. Having another person wipe your behind at that age, because you're in a hospital, you can't wipe your own butt.
Yeah.
A grown man, you can't, like, I'm going through elderly things. You get what I'm, elderly problems, because I'm not able to do it myself. That's a humbling experience. Like, man, I literally went, like, people don't know, like, you don't look like what you've been through. Like,
that's crazy, yeah.
To waiting on someone to let you use the bathroom. Like, I remember when I first woke up off the ventilator, I'm sitting here trying to figure out, why am I going to the bathroom every 5 minutes? I didn't know they give you laxatives to make sure your body and your organs is working normal. So they would purposely give me laxatives when I first woke up off the ventilator to make sure everything was working right. And so everything I would eat would come straight out. And so I'm like, yo, I'm a grown man. I can't be pooping in the bed. Like, what's going on? And so they like, no, it's okay. It's normal. We're giving you laxatives because we want to make sure everything's working right. It's working. That's what I'm telling them. Like, I don't need no more laxatives. Don't give me no more laxatives. Because I couldn't hold it. The muscles was weak and it would come straight out. And I would have to have a nurse come in there and wipe me and all that stuff up, man. It'd be female nurses. They come in there and wipe me up, bro, and it'd be like, man, more power to them, because the things that they go through at the hospital, we don't know the half of it. Like, for it to be your job to actually clean somebody up that just went to the bathroom and you just go eat lunch right after, like, you have to really be passionate about people.
I'm sure that's gonna give you a whole new perspective on life, just that experience alone, man.
Yeah, it did.
That's a lot, bro,
Yeah. And I don't mean to be like...
What, it was 12? How long was the entire hospital stay from the time you got admitted
2 months. Like,
so you was in the hospital for 2 months before you went home?
About 40 days, yeah. And then it was like, you got to remember during COVID.
And you had a job and everything at this time, right?
Yeah, but that was the last thing on my mind at that time.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, you couldn't possibly have had a job when you got out, or did they hold you down?
No, nothing. When I got out, I was just going through it when I got out. But just think about it like this: during COVID, no visitation, no visits at all. Like, nobody was allowed to come up there and see me. I was doing that time in the hospital. The only faces I saw was my nurses that came in the room to take my blood and give me my lunch and my dinner. That was it. No face-to-face contact with nobody. I was literally cut off. My phone was dead. Because you don't think about taking your phone to the hospital and grabbing a charger. You know what I'm saying? Like, so for the first 2 weeks when I woke up, I ain't even had no phone charger. My phone was dead. So I was really disconnected from the world. Only thing I had was my hospital phone that I would talk to that was in the room. You know?
Man, I know your wife was worried, bro.
Boy, was she? She was gonna do it. And I think that's the thing is, people always hear my side of the story, but they don't really hear her side of the story, what she was going through emotionally.
That's crazy. I was sitting here thinking about, like, it would be cool if my wife got a chance to interview her to get the other side, because but I don't know if she would even do it or not. She would. I think that'd be lit. But that's crazy, bro. Like,
yeah.
So you do the podcast.
I forgot.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good.
To the podcast.
You named it King Legend Talks. How did you come up with the name?
Just like a TV series. You know, you watch a show, they give you a spinoff. So the podcast was a spinoff from King Legend Photography.
Okay, and then, so what was your main aim when you did it? I know you did it because you couldn't do the camera, so you still had your entrepreneur mind going on. But what was the goal when you set out with this venture? To
stay productive. Because I didn't want to be sitting in the house all day long talking about what I can't do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like when you get hit with life, you just got to make adjustments sometimes. And the podcast was my adjustment. I wanted to stay creative. I wanted to be able to, I mean, I got a second chance at life, bro. Every word I say is a blessing.
Right.
So I'm looking at it like from the lens of, bro, I could have really just died. Like, I'm here for a reason. And so I have to, at minimum, at least let people know that, yo, tomorrow not promised, bro. I was living my life. I was good. You couldn't have told me I would have been in that situation. A week before, I had just had a kickback at the house, had people over. You know what I'm saying? So I was like caught completely off guard.
So I'm sure.
Matter of fact, before that, a couple of months, we were doing that Big Jam 2020.
Oh, for real?
Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, big
I might be
party.
lost in time, but I remember.
But that's around the time it had happened, probably a couple weeks later. You know what I'm saying? After that event.
So when you kicked off the podcast, I'm assuming your initial people you reached out to were the people you built rapport with through photography, or how did that work? How did you even start getting your first, like, was it just you talking, or did you initially start doing interviews right away?
Nah, I just started doing interviews. I didn't, what put the podcast on my heart to do it on Instagram was a conversation I had with Kim Reeves. He's a physical fitness trainer. He got his own gym called The Fit Shop. And he was just so happy that I made it through my process off the ventilator. When I went live on Instagram, he hopped on the live and we just had a whole conversation, bro. And we chopped it up for about a good 45 minutes to an hour. But the conversation was so good, I was like, man, that was a dope convo. Like, I could do that. You know, I could do more stuff like that. And so that's where the blueprint really came from our conversation. To me, it was like, well, I could start interviewing people. Because during the pandemic, everybody was starting a podcast.
Right, that's kind of where it jumped off at.
Right. So I was like, I might as well.
You caught it early, too. You got caught it in the beginning of it.
Yeah, because you got to remember, all the celebrities was chilling. A lot of celebrities were panicking during the pandemic. Like, they didn't know. They wasn't doing shows no more. They wasn't getting gigs no more. Everybody was home. So at that time, podcasting was a way for even celebrities to feel like they're being productive, right? Because, like, at first, when you did interviews, it had to be in person. Won't nobody doing no podcast, no celebrity doing no podcast for real.
Yeah.
It had to be in person. So that pandemic opened up the lane for social media to really thrive, because that was getting people through the pandemic, social media. It really took a leap during that time. And so I started reaching out to people. I said, I'm going to do a podcast. I don't want it to be something that everybody can do. I want it to be something unique to the 757. And so that's why I started reaching out to celebrities, because I was like, ain't nobody out here reaching out to celebrities for real. Maybe like local people, but I'm talking about like just celebrities we see on TV. I'm like, ain't nobody really talking to them out here like that. And so that's why I started reaching out to them.
All right, so if you want, you can list a few if you want. But I do, because I was always under the assumption that, who that, my wife? You all right?
You good?
You good? Where Riley in her room? Where Lyric at? All right, so I was always under the assumption that you had the podcast going, COVID happened, you relinquished your relationship with God, and then you decided to start making the podcast with the intent to give God glory. But you're letting me know the podcast started after that. So what was it that made you, because I'm sure after your experience you already was like, okay, God is real, I'm going to serve. You made him, you made the promise to him and stuff, and when you was in there. So what was it that made you switch from doing normal interviews to interviews that would give God glory?
When I was getting so focused on celebrities to the point where I had some real tough conversations with some celebrities where the things that they believed, it was totally against God. And I had to be respectful. Mm-hmm. I got into some conversations where I was like, I don't believe that, dog. But they took the time to be on the show. I ain't about to disrespect them.
And what is just them expressing like their faith in what they're believing in type of stuff? Or
Yeah, that's what it was, 100%. I had a real life experience, man. So you can't tell me God not real. But I had a lot of people up there that believe in the universe, and that was a big deal, man. So many people believe in the universe and manifesting and things like that. And God began to show me that, like, what I was doing is creating this mindset that is all about materialistic success. And so I was like, that's a problem, because that's not what life is about.
But when you say creating it, do you mean like creating that perspective for the viewers, or do you think it was creating that or trying to infiltrate what you believed in?
No, for the viewers. I knew better.
Okay.
And so it's like when you know better, you got to do better. It's like when you read the word, you got to apply it. So like at the time, I was letting these people get up here and I was painting this picture that you can get successful, because the podcast is all about following your dreams. And I ain't got nothing wrong with that, man. Follow your dreams. You know what I'm saying? Because God put them there. But at the same time, don't let your dreams be all about materialistic success. Because God gave you those dreams to serve others. When you start serving yourself with your dreams, that's when you get in with the lust of the flesh and what you want to do.
So when at what point did you decide to just start being bold and like at least, all right, two-part question kind of, I think. All right, so you're interviewing people, celebrities, they talk about manifesting, they talk about all this stuff that you know in your heart is not right to what we believe in as Christians and stuff like that. Do you just one day say, man, bump it, I'm not doing the interviews no more? Like, how did you weed it out, or did you just cut it off and start a whole different gear, like with what you was doing?
I started getting picky, I guess. Like, I started tightening up, like, on who I had on the podcast, because I honestly, at one point, didn't care. You know, if you was a celebrity and you wasn't, like, wild out there doing nothing completely, like, demonic, I was pretty much cool with you coming on the platform. I learned at that time to stay away from music artists and focus on like actors and comedians. That's why I had so many of those in the beginning. And I completely stayed away from music artists because so many people locally would get in their feelings if I told them no.
Right.
And you end up losing friendships that probably weren't even real in the first place. But, you know, people hating on you and stuff like that because you told them no. You think you good, you better than me. They're like, bro, it ain't even like that, man. I think the most annoying thing about having a podcast is having people that genuinely don't care about your podcast ask to be a guest on your show. It's got to be one of the most annoying thing about having a podcast when you inviting, you know, when you're interviewing people.
Yeah, it's selfish intentions.
It is, because you know they don't care. You know they don't know nothing about your show, but yet they want to be on your platform just for
they so.
Yeah, basically. And it's like you the bad guy when you tell them no. And it's like, nah, it's like you really don't care about nothing I got going on. You just want to flex. For a lot of people, it's like that.
Yeah, I'm
especially
y'all know
music
right now.
artists.
I'm letting all y'all know, because I know a lot of y'all rappers out there. I'm really only trying to use my platform to give God glory. When I say God, I mean Jesus Christ. So if that's not your walk, then this isn't for you.
Facts.
Because I don't want to be that way, but I'm really trying to help people like with their life, because I know for a fact that this is the one cure to the sickness of the mind and stuff like that. All right, so because I follow you, I see the interviews, but you started sharing visuals along with preaching the gospel. How was that when you unveiled like the glory? Like, how did people respond when you started being bold about the things of the word?
My audience changed, bro. Like, I talked to my manager. Shout out to my manager, DJ Marv, Go Too Hard. Um, I had a real conversation with him one time, and I was telling him how I was trying to shift the show. Like I'm really, promoting the kingdom with it and everything like that. And one of the first things I noticed is my audience started to change. So I started off by losing followers because ain't nobody want to hear about Jesus on my timeline. You know what I'm saying? So I started losing followers. I started losing people that was supporting the show because it's not giving them what they initially signed up for or wanted.
Did you at all get discouraged in that during that?
No, because I knew that was going to happen.
Okay.
It wasn't unexpected. Like, man, why am I losing followers? I know what it is. I'm talking about Jesus now.
Mm-hmm.
The only people that's going to stick around are people that's curious or haters or actually love God. You know what I'm saying? So the ones that were hating, meaning like they just hated God, they didn't want nothing to do with God, they only stayed around to talk trash in the comments. Don't nobody want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? God not real. You praying to a fairy tale, genie, whatever the case may be.
Sky Daddy.
Yeah, Sky Daddy. I heard all of it. I was like, okay, man, that's cool. I'm going to keep preaching as Jesus, though. You know what I'm saying? And so, but what ended up happening is I stayed consistent. I didn't back down, and my audience switched. And then I even talked to my manager about it. I'm like, wow, man, I got a faith-based audience now. That's dope. So I got rid of all the heathens, and now I got a faith-based audience. And that's cool, you know what I'm saying? Because now I can post what I want. I can be unapologetic about it. I can share my faith, and I don't have to hide it. Like, it's me. Now I can be me. You get what I'm saying? Like, when you are in Christ, you are a new creature. That new creature can really express himself now.
With all authority, though.
Right. And I don't have to, try and please nobody. I just be real.
So what is some of the things, like the noticeable changes in your life since getting more in tune with the gospel?
Number one, the music in my life changed. I don't listen to no secular music whatsoever now. The way I process things are different. It's like I'm not even in the flesh when I think about certain situations in my life. I go spiritual first, and then whatever happens after that. So struggle, pain, anything like that, I'm going straight to God first, and then I'm going to handle it that way. I'm going to listen to his instructions. My faith is different because I don't know about y'all, but when you truly believe in Jesus, I can't see things through the natural first anymore.
Right.
Like everything is spiritual, bro. I cannot see nothing through a natural lens, only spiritual. Like when I see a situation, somebody struggling with this, that, and the third, I'm thinking, what's going on in the spiritual first? Why is this person struggling? What attacks is this person dealing with in their life? There's an assignment that is attacking this person in the spirit. You know what I'm saying? So I can't unsee it. So I know the way to fix problems is to pray, get in the spirit with it. That's how you really handle problems. It's not about you trying to fix it yourself. It's not about, let me think about what I'm going to do to fix this. Like, nah, something going on in the spiritual that's causing you to act in the flesh. The only reason you acting in the flesh is because you ain't really taking it to God. You're trying to handle it on your own. There's nothing in this life that we should handle on our own. That's what I learned. That there's a process to everything we deal with. And the further you are away from God, the more vulnerable you are to attacks. So for somebody that really have God in their heart and really got the Holy Spirit with them, they ain't gonna struggle with depression like somebody that don't.
Right.
Because when someone struggling with depression, for an example, without God, now you taking all these hits by yourself. And you're like, yo, life is so hard right now. I just want to give up. I just want to quit. But now with God in me, I know greater is he who was in me than he who was in the world. I know we're more than conquerors. Meaning not only am I victorious, I'm one up on that.
Right.
That's what more than conquerors is. Like, not only are we conquerors, we're more than that because we got Christ Jesus in us. So I don't struggle with no issues by myself. You know what I'm saying? Everything is spiritual. And I start there.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I notice in my walk with it is and this coming from a person that struggled with depression like a lot, like just always not wanting to be here, not feeling like I fit in, not feeling worthy, not feeling, always feeling unwanted and everything like that. I'm like, in a good way, it's like scary to I be in my mind like I don't even know what could happen that could steal my joy at this point. Even like I think about like things like people close to me dying, like before Christ, that would have been something that really, would crush me. Mm-hmm. But my understanding with the Bible and everything, for one, earthly life isn't meant to last forever. My biggest concern right now would be whether my family member gonna make it to heaven or hell.
Right.
Versus like, me missing them and everything. Because everybody time gonna come, everybody time gonna go. So it's like, I'm just so, one thing that I tell myself all the time is, only thing I have to do is believe the gospel, like believe it. So whenever I'm faced with adversity, I always think of, okay, this got to be happening for your good because God said so. You know what I'm saying? Or you could overcome this because God said so. This is not a factor because God said so. And that just keeps me at peace, bro. It's like, and from personal experience, like I used to call you with a lot of issues, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of that stuff is just not even existing in my life anymore. Just because of the changes that me and my wife definitely made, like, yeah. And it's like, that's one of the reasons I try so hard to talk to people about it. Like, I think the craziest thing is like my whole life, like in the world, I'm a person that people would come to for advice, like, because I'm always been that person that's cool with everyone. So it's like relationship advice, even though I didn't have the best one, I always had like this heart where people just always came to me for their problems. But now the same people, they would not come to me with their problem because the only thing I have to give you is Jesus, bro. I don't know what else to give you. You know what I'm saying?
That's the cure, man. Jesus can cure cancer. Like,
bro, like cure. And I really want, like I said, I want everybody to have that. Like, but it's hard because the devil put so much like fog in the air, but so much smoke in the air. It's like you gotta blow it all out before you can even get somebody to even get a piece of just a little bit of understanding of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I think part of what people gotta realize in the world that everything we go through is so much bigger than you. And I think the number one trick of the enemy is to keep us self-centered.
Right.
And so when you only focus on yourself, your problems, what you're going through, you're not going to focus on the bigger picture. You're only going to see things from a tunnel view. You know what I'm saying? And so like when you're able to say, man, I'm a child of God. God created me to worship him. It's not about myself and what I want. It's about his will and what he wants. You start to view the world in a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Because if you take God out of the picture, the only thing you see is what you want, your vision. And some people want good things. That could be, I just want my family to be straight. I just want to make sure my kids eat. But when you realize it's even bigger than that, and you serve a much bigger purpose and a much bigger calling on your life, you start to look at everybody. Like, because God's will is that nobody perish and go to hell. He wants everyone to repent. So you start to look at the world like, man, these are souls that's either going to go to hell or heaven one day.
All right.
And so when you start to look at things from that perspective, every conversation changes because now, not only do I love you, if you was my boy before, not only do I love you and consider you my brother, now I care about your soul. I didn't even care about that at first.
I never even really thought about it.
Yeah, like now you're able to love deeper. You know,
selfishly is really truly the word. Yeah. Because after understanding that I'm not here to love myself, I think that was my issue, was always trying to figure out how to love myself. Like, okay, well, nobody else love me. I need to learn how to love myself. That was like my mentality. But I'm like, yo, the self-love just wasn't working for me. You know what I'm saying? Because for one, I was already depressed. I'm like, what is there to love about me? Every woman I dealt with, they did this, and all my friends turned on me. It must not be nothing to love about me. So that was my biggest thing. But when I came to understand like what's really going on and that I'm not here to love myself, it kind of solved all my problems. It kind of took all of my anger away from everyone, bro. I used to be mad at the 757 because I gave my all and I never got nothing back. I didn't get no calls, open up for no artists. I barely got the podcast calls, like all of that. So I had like a lot of feelings and stuff. But it's like when I sat down and make this whole thing simpler, and Dan Moeller Sr. helped me understand this a lot. It's like when you think about it, the only time you really truly get upset is when things don't go your way.
Right.
When relationships is over with, well, she won't give me what I need, and it's like, oh, when the friendships break up, oh, well, he ain't do this, he ain't do that. For me, it's like everything.
It's self-centered.
Yeah, everything is self-centered.
The whole world
so when you take
you.
you out of the equation, you really don't really have much to get upset over, even though it's still hard because you still trying to die to your pride. So it's like sometimes, like I use me and my wife for an example, like she might come downstairs tripping sometimes, or, you know, just feeling the type of way about something, and in my pride, like, man, well, I done cleaned up the house, like, I don't understand what you get mad for, but it's like I snap out of it real quick. But if I wake up in purpose to serve her at all times, whenever she brings the issue to me, I should already be in fix-it mode and not defensive mode. But that's just one of the biggest blessings that I feel like I've gained from the gospel, was learning that this thing is not about me at all.
Exactly. Now, something that we was reading about earlier this week, me and my wife, how the Bible actually tells us it's better for a man to not be married so that way he can serve God with no distractions. But if he lacks self-control, it is better for him to be married so that way he doesn't get into sin. And when I think about that, what it's really saying is when you truly devote your life to God, you don't have to please nobody else. You owe nobody else no duties, you know. But when you get married, there is another element there where you still have to do your duty as a husband. She still has to do her duty as a wife. Yet both of y'all still have to please God. You get what I'm saying? And so when I think about that, I got to say the thing I struggle with, because even when you're in relationships, you do have different growth. You know, if you got into this early and you started applying the Bible to your life at an earlier time than your wife, you're going to be at a different spiritual level at this time. And so having that grace for other people while they're going through that is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Because God had grace for us. One of the things I'm struggling with and I ask God for help with now is learning how to use wisdom when giving that hard truth. Because the truth hurts, bro. It don't matter how you give it to somebody. It hurts if you're being real. So I'm just seeking wisdom on how to give that truth in a way that it can be received. And so like at my church now, I've been learning a lot about like biblical community, how to actually talk to people and things like that and treat them and really show that love of Christ to other people, even us brothers. And one of the things that Pastor Marseille said that stuck with me when it came to delivering that truth, he said it's like a package. When you get something in the mail, it doesn't matter if that's what you really wanted or not. What matters is how is it delivered to you. Because let's say you order something, you've been waiting for it to come in the mail, and you excited because you know this is whatever it is you purchase, and the person that delivers the package to you throw it at you. You don't care the fact that you ordered this thing and you really want it. What you care about is how do you felt when this person just
like,
threw
bro,
the
what you
package
doing?
at you.
Like,
now what you order don't even matter. What matters is the delivery.
right.
And so when you use that, even if you really, really wanted what was in that package, you might eventually pick it up, but it's going to be harder for you to grab that package.
Yeah, because you're going to be stuck on what was said or what was done.
Right, and how it was delivered. So it's the same thing with giving the truth to somebody. So you can be right, but it's not always about being right. It's about the delivery. So that's what I'm struggling with, using wisdom to understand how to deliver that truth to people, because the truth hurts. And so there's no nice way to deliver hard truth, but there is a wise way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, even just use my wife as an example. If she say something she don't understand, and I do, and she look at me like, well, why you don't do this why you don't do that? I may know something, but trying to explain that to her in a moment is difficult to me because she may be doing it now. You get what I'm saying? So just being full transparent situation with a shirt the other day before work. I'm getting personal now. Sorry, boo. I love you. But it was a situation with a shirt the other day. It was a Rolling Stones shirt she had on. And we had just had a wonderful, this how the devil worked too, man. He just throw the weirdest things at you and just try and disrupt the peace in the home. And so she had on this shirt and she wore it. And she looked at me and was like, what's wrong with my shirt? I said, ain't nothing wrong with it. Like, in my head, I'm just trying to be reserved. Yeah. I'm trying to chill. Like, it ain't nothing wrong with it. You got on your shirt. You do you. And she like, no, I can tell you looking at my shirt. Because she liked to wear graphic tees. The Rolling Stones was the shirt. And I said, well, I don't wear shirts that I don't know what it represents. Because when you wear a graphic tee, you're supporting whatever shirt you're wearing. So it's like merch. It's basically is merch. So if there's a band and you got on a band shirt, yeah, that's their merch. So you're supporting that band,
whatever they represent,
and whatever they represent. So I asked her, I said, do you know what the Rolling Stones represent? And she was like, no, I just know it's a rock band from back in the day. And, I just like the shirt because, they got that little tongue logo and all that or whatever on it. And so she just liked the shirt. So I said, okay. I said, she wanted to know why I was wrong with it. So I dug deeper. I said, I don't know the Rolling Stones personally. I don't know the band personally. I just like to know what something is about before I put it on and wear it. And so I was like, well, since I don't know, and she's asking, I'm going to look it up. So to her, that's overkill because, like, I'm doing too much. But I don't like not knowing something and somebody asks me, so I'm going to look it up. I'm not about to just sit here, cancel them out, saying you wearing a Rolling Stone shirt, it's of the devil, and I don't know nothing about them.
Yeah.
I just know they're a band. That's it, just like her. But let me learn. And so I go look it up. I start seeing they make songs like Symphony to the Devil. And I'm like, they got this song where it's like things that's basically Antichrist. I'm not judging that whole entire music collaboration or whatever they have. I just know the first couple of songs I looked up, it was demonic. And as a band, that's what you're supporting right now. So now that's too much because I went into detail. Now you wearing a shirt where this band got songs about the devil. And I'm like, now you going to wear that shirt to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you going to wear that shirt. And that's where the wisdom has to come in. So I'm learning wisdom where, yeah, that might have been the truth, but was that the right time to say that? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, she got it on. She not about to switch it. Was that the right time to say it? In that moment, how should I have handled that situation? And I know I hurt her feelings that day because, she's wearing a shirt out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about it, and I feel like she got on the devil clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but one thing, though, I did read, though, in the Bible was if you feel like it's wrong and you still do it, then it's still sin.
Right.
So she was already kind of convicted herself a little bit when she asked you from the jump. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the part where it's like using wisdom. We're delivering that truth, that hard truth. Because it doesn't matter that I'm right. It's just about how did it make her feel in that moment.
You should have been like, well, it's cool. We'll watch a Rolling Stone documentary later when we come back.
And then she could have had the time to process it and been like, oh, I'm not wearing that no more.
See, that's true, though, because I'm not really good at it either. Like, even when me and my girl get into arguments now, it's like I have such a smart mouth, bro. It's like, so even though I'm not being so negative right now, I still am being like prideful with my responses. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, shoot like a little jab here and there, but that's just like you said with the wisdom is something you definitely got to work on, because the one thing I noticed about Jesus is he not do no arguing. Like he barely even doing any debates. He's just more so like he just gonna say something real wise, make you think real quick. That's what he say. Like he uses wisdom to confound the wise or something like that. But I noticed that because most people that talk to Jesus, they always try to trick him up with what they say. But he got that wisdom that kind of make you feel stupid at the end of the day.
You know, the only people that Jesus gave his time to with disputes was hypocrites. The Pharisees.
I ain't never paid attention to it, but
the Pharisees
is resonating right now.
The only time he really took his time out his day to really go in on somebody is because they was a hypocrite. And the reason he did that is because they were going to scatter the flock. So if anyone is scattering the flock, they're priority on his list when you think about it. So it's like these Pharisees were trying to paint themselves up to be these perfect individuals who followed the law, so people would follow them. They were influenced. Jesus was a bigger influence, and they had pride issues. They hated that. They were jealous. They didn't want people to follow Jesus. Jesus was looking like he had no sin.
That's crazy. I never even thought about it from that perspective. I always thought about it from the perspective of him like claiming to be God. I never thought of it from that perspective, like, because the Pharisees was like them dudes at the time. So it's like, yo, we the teachers, we know the word. Who is this dude
about
right
the
here?
Bible, you had to go to the Pharisees. They were like your mentors. They was like your guide to them. They were the teachers of the law. You get what I'm saying? So
yeah, that's crazy.
So when Jesus came on the scene, they were like, this man, who is he? You know what I'm saying? How dare he act like he know the law better than me? They had big egos.
That's crazy. Now I got to go back and read it over again now just to get a whole other perspective on it.
Yeah, they had big egos, and they couldn't trick Jesus with nothing that they said. They tried to use the law against him. Oh, you're gonna heal somebody on the Sabbath? You know, Jesus is like, what, is the Sabbath not a day to do good? Like, what you trying to say? I gotta wait till tomorrow to heal this person that's hurting right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, they really tried to twist it up, and Jesus really showed them his authority, that just so you know I am the Son of God, I'm going to heal this person right in front of you on the Sabbath. You know what I'm saying? And you know it's not in my power. You know it's I have to be the Son of God to do this. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it like nobody else is giving me the power. You get what I'm saying? So they couldn't compare him to no man. And I think that drove them crazy.
Man.
They couldn't compare him to nobody. One thing I was learning, like, not learning, but one thing I was really noticing, the details in his trial, they had false witness. You get what I'm saying? They had false people try to paint him to be this person. And Jesus stayed silent the whole time and didn't even try to defend himself. And they called blasphemy. And literally they did all the talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jesus literally stayed silent. And they even asked him, are you not going to say anything to defend yourself? You know, like, they questioned Jesus. Like, why aren't you going to defend yourself? These people are giving you they're accusing you of all these things, and you just being silent. You know, and if the devil was smart, he wouldn't even have tried to kill Jesus. So that also shows me that he don't know everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not omniscient. He got played.
I came across that like last week. They was pretty much saying,
yeah, he got played.
God basically finessed him by showing up in human form.
So,
and another thing too that let me know that, which is crazy, that a lot of people that follow the devil's plan don't realize that Jesus is God, but the devil must not have realized it either, because when he was in the wilderness, if he would have knew he was God, he wouldn't even been asking him to prove himself for real.
Well, I feel like he was trying to get him to prove himself because he was trying to catch him slipping. He wanted him to, because he know God is a just God. So like, if God says something, he can't go back on his word whatsoever. And so the devil knew scripture, and he would try and quote scripture to him to catch him slipping, because if he get caught slipping, then he not a just God. You know what I'm saying? So God can't make mistakes. God is perfect.
But if he knew But if he knew that Jesus was
He was
God,
trying him in the flesh. So you got to remember, like, when Jesus was in the flesh, he was 100% man and also 100% God.
but do you think the devil knew that Jesus was God?
Of course. You know why? Because he went to try to kill him. When Jesus was first born, the whole nativity scene and all of that, the devil literally tried to kill every baby that was about to be born. So he was literally hunting.
Okay, because he know the gospel. He knew the Savior was coming.
He knew the prophecy was about to be fulfilled. So he didn't know who was going to be Mary. He just knew that the Messiah was coming. Prophecy was about to be fulfilled. We got to kill this baby. You know what I'm saying? So he had an idea, you know. I just feel like the people in the world nowadays, they struggle with knowing if God is real or not. And if you're struggling with that, all I got to say is just pray and seek him. He going to show up every time.
Yeah, and I also like to put that on Christians too, because I know a lot of people that pop out now and let me know they was Christians since I've been knowing them, but I'm like, bro, you never cared about me enough to save me from going to hell for real. Like we sit in sessions, you make whatever kind of music you want to make, and I'm not judging nobody, but I'm just saying, like, our job as Christians is to show that God is real, like, by showing our love. So I do kind of blame that on Christians a little bit. Now, born in Hampton, went to all these schools, had all these family issues. And I'm sure it's way more. We all got, so much in our bag, in our arsenal. You're working 3 jobs.
What I will say about the podcast specifically, one of the things that really caused me to change direction on the show, other than the material message, was me being obedient to God. Because I was like, for me to go through everything I went through on a ventilator and not use the platform that I have now to promote the kingdom, it's like I didn't feel like I was being active like a disciple. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest things. Like, if don't nobody get nothing about this, one of the biggest things that God convicted me on was interviewing people who would give glory to God, but their lifestyle didn't match. Completely didn't match, bro. And I didn't want to create a mindset that there is no change after the repentance.
It's a big fact.
Yeah, I didn't want to create that mindset that, oh yeah, I can call myself a Christian. I'm Christian. Like, there's nothing else to do but call yourself a Christian. I saw that happen, and it was like trending, bro. Everybody was a Christian. And trust me, I'm not against nobody being a Christian, but there is a responsibility behind it. It's not just a title.
Yeah, you're citizens of heaven.
Right. It's not just I'm Christian and I still live my sinful life, but I'm Christian, because that's deception. People can literally be Christians and go to hell. And I say that because if you are a Christian, you believe Jesus died on the cross for you, but you don't live righteous, if you don't practice righteousness and you live a life of sin, you can still go to hell.
Man, I see that topic come up a lot. Like, I guess because salvation is your way to. So a lot of people say you can't lose your salvation and stuff like that, but that would like contradict what Jesus say as far as like, when you get to heaven, it's either pretty much come in or depart from me. I never knew you.
You know how I can debunk that ASAP? Check this out. You got saved. You believe Jesus died on the cross for you. Somebody did you wrong. You ain't forgive them. So now the Bible says you have to forgive other people so your Father in heaven will forgive you. If you don't forgive somebody, he won't forgive you.
You're not forgiven.
So you're not forgiven. Now, this happened after you said the sinner's prayer. And you gave your life to Christ. He already forgave you for those sins.
Right.
But somebody else did a new sin, and they just offended you and you didn't forgive them. You die in that state with unforgiveness in your heart, you're going to hell, buddy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And that's only because of the word said that. I didn't say that. The word said that. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to unforgiveness, you have to forgive or your father won't forgive you. If he won't forgive you, you're not chilling with him. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. So for people to say once saved, always saved, or a lot of people try to say, well, you must not have never been a Christian. If you must not have never been truly saved. I beg to differ because one thing I know, there's a lot of people who have near-death experiences and can tell you that when they died, they went somewhere. You know what
I
a
heard
near-death
there's a
experience?
whole lot of people that tell us that.
Right. So I look at everything. Either you believe this Bible or you don't. If you don't believe it, then stop pretending to believe it. Because if you believe it, you got to believe it from Genesis to Revelation. You know what I'm saying? So there is a hell, and I do believe God created it for the devil and the fallen angels. But I also believe that if you serve the devil, you go where he is going.
Rightfully so. You go exactly where you go.
Exactly. So the Bible actually tells us we're slaves to sin when we're actually serving the devil, and the devil's our master. But when we repent of our sins and serve Christ, we become slaves to righteousness. So those who practice righteousness is the ones that's truly saved. So if you don't practice righteousness, then you're living like a sinner. And here's the crazy part. It'll blow your mind. It's not our works that makes us saved. It's our faith in Jesus Christ that makes us saved.
I definitely got into that little debate today.
Yeah, but it's not only our faith, we're also told to keep the commandments as well. So you can't just serve God, say, I believe in God, and break all the commandments. It don't work that way. Because we're going to be judged on those as well, you know. And so I think it's crazy to believe in a once saved, always saved, and it's actually dangerous to believe in that, because if you believe that, then why live a righteous life anyway? Just do what you want. You already believe Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins. You believe you save, always save. Do you?
Yeah, right.
That's
makes no
dangerous.
sense, right?
That's dangerous. People
Right.
don't just do right because they want to all the time. Sometimes they do right because they feel like they have to. And that's just the truth. A lot of people's hearts have to be changed, you know, because we're born in a sinful nature. This is something that my mother taught me recently. I'm still learning from my mama. My mama taught me this. My daughter, she don't do it no more, but when she was younger than she is now, when she would get upset, she would launch her head and she would like try and throw it on the ground whenever she would get upset. And I told my mom, I said, I don't know where she get that from. Like, ain't nobody showed her how to throw her head and hit it on the ground when she get mad. And my mama was telling me, she said, you don't have to teach kids to do wrong. You got to teach them to do right, because we born in sin. Like, that blew my mind. Like, we have to learn to do what's right.
Mm-hmm.
We're already born knowing by instinct how to do wrong. And so when you think about that, it's like, I can apply that to everything in life now, because now when we fall short, I realize it's our sinful nature that makes us fall short. But that's why we have to renew our mind when we're in Christ Jesus and deny the flesh and feed the spirit.
But you know what's funny too? Not funny, but it makes me understand like the struggle like in the spirit, because even though we don't have to be taught to do wrong, we're always expected to do what's right by people who do wrong.
Right.
Which is like a crazy like dynamic for real.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't believe in God can tell you how to be a Christian. Like,
I always thought that was funny. But.
Yeah, it's like, bro, you Christian. That ain't Christian. That ain't the Christian thing.
Right, and the fact that you know I'm doing wrong means
right.
You know you're going to hell too. You just don't want to accept it.
It's crazy.
All right, so this past weekend before, I think it was this past weekend.
Last weekend.
We had we went to Baltimore for the No Flesh conference with the Commission family. Shout out to Live. We had Daniel Adams and we had Marcus Rogers. I think you went to the one the year before, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we had No Flesh 3, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I want to just talk about Daniel prophesying because I wasn't there, but you told me about it. But I also want to talk about your overall experience there.
Funny. Daniel, he's a cool individual, man. Like I talked to him on Instagram. I've interviewed him on my podcast before. And we've had conversations about certain things, and because there's a lot of division in the church right now because of certain individuals. Mm-hmm. And there's what the issue that's going on, and I'm just attacking this head on. The issue that's going on right now is we got a lot of people that are allowing social media to manipulate their perspectives on certain individuals. And that's why there's so much division in the church. Everyone's trying to build a platform. Everyone's trying to gain influence. And there's a pattern of certain individuals that literally are building platforms by attacking other believers. Mm-hmm. And that's literally all they do.
Yeah, like, I see it.
That's it. They have no other reason for their platform other than to attack other believers.
Definitely not winning souls.
Yeah. So that division is actually causing people to be afraid to even work with other people, like, because they're getting labeled now. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, if you do an event with Daniel Adams, then you also support, Prophet Lovey and all these other people. And it's like, bro, I don't even know them. Right. Why are you attaching me to other individuals I've never even spoken to? You know what I'm saying? But that's what social media is doing nowadays, that everyone's getting attached to like clicks. Mm-hmm. And that's dangerous because you'll never get to meet the person and get to know their heart when you have all these factors that's just floating around there like rumors nowadays. Like
prejudging somebody before you even meet them.
Literally being prejudiced towards everybody in the Christian faith now. And so to see past that, you have to, like, as a videographer, I see things different. You get what I'm saying? Like, when you are shooting a video, like, if you're shooting an event, to include this scene and not include this scene. Mm-hmm. So, like, I can go shoot an event to do a promo video if that's the purpose. I'm not going to include the scenes where people are not hype. Get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because it's like going to make the event look like it wasn't doing much.
Right.
But at the same time, let's say only 20 people showed up to the event. If you're a good videographer, you can make that 20 people look like it was 100. Mm-hmm. Just by the way you capture the angles, the crop, getting a close shot versus a far shot. If you know what you're doing, you know how to paint the picture.
Right.
Same thing with social media. If you know what you're doing, you can paint somebody to look certain ways based on the narrative you put out there. And that's what's happening. And people are afraid to even trust people. They don't even know. You ain't had one conversation with this person. You haven't listened to one sermon, but yet you're spreading rumors calling this person false. And that happens a lot. So speaking about that, I said all that to say, No Flesh 3, I went there and, my expectations was just to be with brothers and sisters in Christ and fellowship. That's what my expectation always is. I'm not going there for people. I'm not going there for headline. I'm going there for my brothers. Live, I love them to death. I talk to them on the phone all the time. The commission, love them to death. You know what I'm saying? We do life together. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm going to fellowship with like-minded individuals in Christ. I'm not going for a headliner. Mm-hmm. But when I'm there and you see the presence of God just pour on everybody, and I'm seeing other people who love God the way I love God, it's just good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just good for your soul. It's good for your everything. It's like getting recharged up. Mm-hmm. You can walk this walk. You can serve God. But if you're missing fellowship, you're going to be missing a huge part of the body of Christ. Mm-hmm. Because you can have your own personal relationship with Jesus Christ. There's nothing wrong with that. But we got to remember we're all part of the body of Christ. So, like, when we fellowship, that's like the arm functioning with the other arm. You get what I'm saying? Right. We all working together in unity. And so No Flesh is a awesome, I would like to say an awesome body of Christ that's functioning together in unity. There's nobody in the building that's going to treat you like you less than or I'm more than. It's literally God, Jesus at the center of everything. And seeing people cast out demons together, pray for people together, literally support each other in that way. And it's always all love. Like, it's just so much love in one building. That's crazy. But it's the love of Jesus Christ being shown through everybody that's there.
So was it your first time having somebody prophesy over you?
No. Marcus Rogers actually did it on my podcast one time before.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, I had him up there on a King of Kings event I did with Kieran the Light, Emmanuel the Prophet, and then Marcus Rogers. And he just told me to stay consistent with what I was doing with the podcast. And he see one day that it's going to be something like the Breakfast Club for Christians, though. You know what I'm saying? Where people come up there, like, and really just be able to be a platform for the kingdom. And then Daniel Adams pretty much said the same thing on Sunday, with a little bit more detail to it. Me personally, I believe that God has a plan, and I just do my part and follow his will. Whatever happens, happens. I just want to be obedient, because it don't matter what somebody prophesy over your life. If you're not obedient to the will of God, it's not going to happen.
Right.
And a lot of people will blame that person. And God, like, I wanted to do these things in your life, but you wasn't listening.
Yeah, like you got to see it through.
Right, you got to see it through.
Like, put in the work to meet it halfway, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, so, I mean, there's so many things we could talk about, man, but I got to save some of it for another interview, because it's our connections, the people we know, we grew up in the same area, so it can go deep as it can go. But before we close it out, I just want to know, what would you say to the person that's struggling truly with believing in Jesus right now? 'Cause I don't like, God, yeah, but that term is used so loosely now. So it's like, what did you say to that person right now on the other end of this camera that's struggling with their faith right now?
So someone struggling with their faith, or someone struggling believing God is
struggling
real?
Believing in Jesus as God.
Okay. Well, I will say this. We not crazy. 1 + 1 = 2. I know my birthday, and I know what year it is, and I'm not insane. I have a normal mind. I know you have a normal mind. We got no mental issues. So obviously there's something to not only what I believe and what you believe, but so many people that's in the body of Christ believe. So when you look at it from a logical perspective, if these people aren't crazy, then something got to be pushing them in this direction, right?
Yeah.
And so when I think about it from a logical perspective, and you do the math, it makes sense. And let me break that down. Your cell phone, for an example, it's complicated. Like, I don't know how to make it. You know how to make a phone? Like, if I gave you all the tools, do you know how to put it together and make a cell phone? No. Even if all the tools were in front of you, would you know how to put it together?
No. Not without going line by line. And
right. Like, even if you just literally had it there, I would not know how to put the chip together, none of that. So what I'm saying is, your phone is complicated. How much more complicated are you? So your phone had a designer. We know somebody knows how to make a cell phone. Somebody knows how to put it together to make it work, get signal, Wi-Fi connection, all that. If your phone is complicated like that, we know it had a designer. How much more complicated are you as a human being?
That can make the phone.
That can make the phone. So when you think about the complexity of us being just human, to say we came out of nowhere is not logical. See how I did the wordplay? It's not logical to say that, because even when you think about the universe, everything in the universe tells us it came from something. Something intelligent created it. Mm-hmm. But as far as people struggling to believe in Jesus, man, I have a different perspective because I've been involved with so much supernatural things growing up. So unfortunately, I don't know what life is like to not witness the spiritual realm. So for me, just knowing the spiritual realm is real was enough to know if the devil is real, Jesus is real.
Right.
But for most people who've never encountered the supernatural, they require a little bit more faith because a lot of people, they have to see it to believe it. But the very foundation of what we believe is built on faith. You know what I'm saying? And so all I know is when you have a relationship with Jesus Christ and you truly, truly believe, he answers your call. And last time I checked, if somebody answered my call, I know the other person on the other line is real. Just saying.
That's a good way to put it. And I like how you use logical, because one of the debates I had earlier was we was pretty much talking about Jesus, the Bible, and one guy was like, you know, I need proof, I need to know this, I need everything to be logical. And I'm just like, I mean, how much logical can you really get when it comes to the mystery of God? Like, so I just sent on the verse in Corinthians as far as like, you know, you can know everything in the world and it still don't mean anything if you don't know how to love nobody and stuff like that.
And I tell people this all the time. It takes more faith to be an atheist than it does to be a Christian. And what I mean by that is when you do your homework and you really do research, science and history and all of that, to believe we came from, let's say evolution, to believe we came from an ape and progressed all the way to being what we are today, and you don't see that happen anymore, that's already a red flag.
And have no relationship with the apes at all right now. It ain't like we got 8 little baby cousins.
I don't know how
out.
to talk ape. We don't see this. It's already a red flag, number one. Then number two, it's like, all right, let's say coincidence, right? Let's say the Big Bang Theory happened. How in the heck does bacteria become human? How do you get, first of all, nothing to produce a planet that falls in a solar system that has to line up in the perfect way so the gravitational pulls don't make us go out of whack? You know what I'm saying? So there is perfection in our solar system that is able to make Earth support life. There's calculated perfection in our solar system. If the moon shifts just a little bit, our gravitational poles goes berserk. You get what I'm saying? Like, so there's perfection in the universe that can make the Earth support life. And the fact that you want to say we came from nothing, it requires a lot of faith, bro. You have to believe we literally came from nothing. And then on top of that you have no purpose. Because if we came from nothing and God not real, then you're just here to live and die. You have no purpose.
On top of that, if I was the devil and I knew that Jesus was the way to heaven, I would throw all of these things at you to make you not believe it. You know what I'm saying?
That's the point.
That's my whole thing with it. It's like, yo, if Jesus is the way, how many things would I make up to make you not believe it? And then you get all the answers that you get whenever you bring up Jesus' name. Right.
Can I make a lot of people mad real quick before I go?
Go ahead.
All right, black people, listen. You've been lied to. Y'all been lied to. I need y'all to get it together. All right. Stop blaming the white man. Stop blaming the white man for all your problems. All right. Let me tell you something. The first black person to own a slave the first person to own a slave in America was a black man. And he actually was an indentured servant who got the legal right to buy his own slave. So the first person to own a slave in the United States was a black man. Look it up. I think his name was Anthony Johnson. Yeah, you can look it up. It's for real. I ain't playing. Also, when we came over here from Africa, slavery was already established in Africa as a normal way of living. A lot of people don't know this. I'm telling y'all this because they don't teach this in school. I had to do my research. And the reason I'm also telling people this is because we got a lot of hate in our hearts And it's because of lies that's been told. And so in order to really heal, we have to correct the lie. Because like they said at the No Flesh event, one lie unchecked in one generation becomes the truth in the next generation. And so what's happening in our generation is that there have been lies that has been unchecked that have become the truth. And so people are starting to believe what they know because there were lies that were unchecked. So I'm gonna check some of those lies really quick. So slavery was already a normal thing in Africa. The Europeans were actually the last people to go get involved with slavery in Africa. And the people that came over here to this North America were already slaves in Africa. People have been brainwashing us black folk to believe that the white man went over there,
took free people,
took some free blacks, put them on a ship and brought them over here, when the reality is they brought slaves over here. They started off by purchasing them the right way, and then they started off saying, screw it, we're not sending them back. But what happened was we sold ourselves into slavery. So we have to take accountability for that. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just to the white man. We were being sold to everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so in American history, what you also don't know is that black people served in the Revolutionary War. Yeah, alongside George Washington. So they weren't the only people fighting for this country. So you got to know your history, your true history as a black man. They were black patriots. A lot of people don't know that. So I can go ahead and get deeper into it, but I hope that's enough information to at least get you searching for the truth. Did you know that there was over 300,000 white slaves? Yeah, that were actually slaves.
You ever read Ecclesiastes before, that book?
In the Bible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, briefly.
The one about, I think it was about chasing the wind, pretty much. Like how everything is meaningless.
Everything is meaningless?
It's about everything being meaningless.
I gotta dig
Except for the few joys of like that we should enjoy. Like family, you know, the things we should enjoy, but it just made me think like, cause like even with knowing the history, it's almost like what do it matter right now? You know what I'm saying? You have the opportunity to enjoy the moment right now because I mean at the end of the day, not too many people's names live on as long as like a Jesus Christ name would. So it was just basically saying like, you know, I got my, you know, my time is my time here. Mostly the people that would remember me when I'm gone are going to be gone soon too. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of just like enjoy the moment while you're here. Like you just enjoy the time while you're here and focus on being able to spend eternity with God.
I mean, yeah, that's what life is all about, man. I just wanted to share that because I'm so tired of going back and forth with black folk. And I'm black. Don't get me wrong, I love being black. But
yeah, you're right though.
I just get tired of going back and forth with black people that don't understand the true history. They only know the lie.
Any excuse to have hate in your heart is the one you got to get rid of.
Right. And so we got to correct that so that way we can move forward. We shouldn't be having black church and white church and, you know what I'm saying, all these different, we should all be able to coexist together. You know, and I think that should be the purpose. And
even if that statement makes you feel any type of way, then there's something that you need to unveil in yourself so you can like actually heal. Because I mean, you shouldn't even be able to be that triggered by anything somebody else say. Because once you in Christ, it's like you're so confident in who you are. It's like I might disagree, but I'm not triggered by nothing that anybody say. I do feel a way when people though like disrespect like Jesus. I do get mad, but sometimes I feel like, you know, he's God and he's God alone. So the most I could do is just be a representative. Like I really don't have to defend him. He defends himself like with everything he's done. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I look at it. So it's your boy Rick Rogers, the hit maker.
King
and I got
Legend.
my man King Legend with me. It was an honor to actually be able to sit and interview you because I watch you interview so many people like all the time. And I'm like, dang, we don't even know his story. So I'm glad I was able to do it. I know you told your stories to millions of people before, but you know, it's an honor for you to be in my home and our podcast setup, you know, and it's just an honor to, you know what I mean, like to be able to interview you. And I you know, as a friend, I don't even really know how it even kicked off where I don't even, did it start on Call of Duty or something? Like I know we knew who each other was.
We bumped into each other in North Carolina. I think our friendship is unique because every time if I go out of state, if I leave VA, somehow like we be in the same place.
Right.
And so like the first time we actually met was in North Carolina. I want to say Cartel, John Stacy, Low Ski. They were out there. They were performing. I was out there with John. So that's my brother-in-law. So I was out there with him, and you were there too.
That was a tequila thing, right? With Cartel had that going on. Yeah, I remember that.
So that was the first time. And then the next time I saw you was Big Jam 2020 at the Coliseum. And then it was, we were just linking up, playing the Xbox, you know what I'm saying, online after that. And then it just grew from there.
Yeah, one of the things that let me know you was a real dude is your open honesty about my talent, because a lot of people won't give credit where it's due, you know what I'm saying? But you always just was, that's just how I can recognize it. That lets me know that whatever I'm doing isn't affecting you as a man. Like you have no problem, like, you know, giving credit where it's due. So that was like a something that, to me, that was something I could build a relationship with you off of, because it's like, okay, this dude will see me for who I am, and like even if I didn't see it, he still see it. And you always put people on to my music and stuff like that. So, you know, that just lets me know how real of a dude you were. And I try to surround myself with real people. So, yeah, man. This has been an amazing conversation. I definitely plan on doing it again because I'm just a nosy dude. Like I want to know everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so yeah, this is Rick Rouse, the Hitmaker, man. This is a piece of God, and I want to thank you. You're the first person I've actually interviewed, like other than my wife. It's not interviewing with her; it's just conversation. But you're the first person. All right, so and anyone who sees this, if you're not Christian, this isn't for you. We can still conversate and everything, but I'm using this platform to give God His glory. God definitely came in, showed you some things. He set you down in the craziest way, and you came up out of it giving Him glory. So we just definitely have to